right, guys, this is gonna be a little bit different stream tonight. Welcome back to the Unreasonable Man, and I am back out in the airplane shed tonight. You can see from the banner back there, and we're going to be reacting to this video, and we may speed through some parts of it. I haven't actually watched it myself. It was sent to me by Josie, who will be on later, or probably in just a few minutes, and so maybe she knows where the stop start points are. But I'm supposed to kind of give a my reaction to this video, and we're gonna go with that. So with no further ado, let's get started. Don't really expect a whole lot of people in chat tonight. This is probably going to just be more a video that I upload later. But if you can join us in the chat, that'd be great. I do watch the chat, and will respond as I see it. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see.
I'm going to tell the story of how I met, dated, married, and divorced a real pathological liar. This is my introduction slash disclaimer video. First and foremost, I'm going to be truthful, even if it makes me look bad. I'm going to be honest, but I'm also not going to be disrespectful to anyone that was involved. I'm not going to use people's real names because I don't have their permission to do so. And the sister does not want any sort of litigation. I will tell you off the top, I have a sense of humor and I have sarcasm. So things that you see me laughing at, none of this is funny. But in order to get through it, I have to laugh. If I cry, I cry. I'm human. I'm a woman. This was traumatic. I'm going to do the best I can to upload as much of the story as I can, because I know people get so annoyed with the follow for part 4, follow me for part 17. I'm just going to do the best I can to keep uploading the videos each at a time. I'm going to go in order from the time we met until the time I got our divorce decree in the mail. So that is a lot of time to cover. Please give me the grace to just get it out. It may not be all in one day. It may not be all in 2 days. But what I can tell you is even if you don't necessarily see a video, I'm probably recording it and then I will upload it into the playlist titled, Who the Fuck Did I Marry? What else do I need to cover ahead of time? Because I feel like this video is important to give some sort of context. So that way, when people jump into the series, they kind of can figure out, oh, let me start at the introduction video and then work my way through. A lot of the questions that you all have sent me will be answered when I start and tell the story in order. Everything I'm going to tell you can be verified. There are people in my life who can easily verify, yes, this did happen. Yes, he really did do that.
Well, this is taking a long time. Let me see if I can just skip ahead.
Yes, she did go through that. I have no, like I called my friends and was like, I got it. Anyway. All right, y'all. This is the introduction, so welcome. Part 1 will be up shortly. Please excuse the hair, but here is part 1 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I met my ex-husband around March 4th of 2020. We met on Facebook dating site, and we also matched on Hinge. I did not realize that he was on both under 2 different names. So one was his actual name, and the other one was a variation, like a nickname that he called himself. Different pictures. So it was a running joke between us. Oh, you ain't even recognized that you had matched with me on Hinge. No, I didn't. And also that should have been a red flag. By the
So right there, I mean, the guy has 2 different dating profiles. He's obviously, crooked right out of the gate. she's on multiple dating sites herself. I mean, and the thing is that she picked the same guy on two different dating websites. That seems odd and very weird. I don't know. Maybe that's typical now. That seems odd to me. Um, that would be the case. That not when she was, you know, going to go out with him the first time, rather than just wait and go out with him and then see how that where that led and all of that sort of thing. She seems like she decided to just go ahead and continue to look for other people to date, which like I don't know, it kind of seems like a red flag on her part. Also, a lot of red flags on his part. So let's keep going.
The way you will notice in this story, I called it the United Nations of red flags. It is so many red flags that I mean, you would have thought I was colorblind because I ignored all of them. So, anyway, back to the story. We met around March 4th. We exchanged phone numbers. He called me and we talked on the phone for the first time. In the first phone call, he told me that he had just moved to Georgia from California from San Diego. His job had transferred him because he was being transferred in as the new regional manager for a major condiment company that is based here in Georgia. I'm not going to say the name. And so we also talked about his childhood. He told me he grew up in Philly. He's from Philly. Both of his parents were deceased. This is the first phone call. Both of his parents were deceased. His father was a Philadelphia police officer. His mom was a teacher. He also told me he briefly lived in Augusta with his family. He had two brothers and two sisters. He also had two half brothers on his dad's side. First phone call. So I'm just giving you guys the backstory. This was the first phone call we had. So we talked about family. We talked about friends. We talked about our jobs. At the time, I was working at Georgia State Patrol. And he knew this and he just thought that was like, wow, so you work with troopers all day. Yes, I did. Also in that phone call, he explained to me that he used to play football. He explained that he used to play arena football. I know nothing about arena football. I know about NFL. I know about college. Go Dogs. But I don't know anything about arena football.
I'm not really sure what relevance this is. I'm going to just skip ahead here.
Because he's like 6'4", 6'5". Um, Oh, also, man, I apologize. So let me go back to the first conversation. Let me add something. He did tell me in the first phone call that he was divorced, and that his ex-wife she had two children, a boy and a girl, who were teenagers, young adults. I think the girl was about 20, and he said that he had a very close relationship with his stepkids, but that he and his ex-wife had divorced because she cheated on him out in California. And so coming to Georgia was a new beginning for him. She was still out in California. The kids were still out in California. And so, he was like, I can't stand her, but I still want to be in the kids' life.
So I'm gonna make a prediction. I've not watched this video at all, but I'm gonna make a prediction that the guy is not actually divorced. That there were and that he may not have even actually um, left California to find another job or whatever. I'm just a little foreshadowing. I just feel like that this is where we're going with this. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Let's keep going.
I have to put that in there because that will come back later. So this is just setting the stage. Again, that first conversation we talked about family, job, friends, how he ended up in Georgia, me being in Georgia, the things that, I would think people talk about in the first conversation. All right, now back
Sure.
to the tire
Yeah.
blew out. So he shows up to the gas station. He changes my tire, which I just thought was the sexiest thing in the world. And then he proceeds to say, "Hey, I found a tire place around the corner. You need to get another tire. Like, you can't drive on this donut." So he followed me to, um, the tire place, and then helped me get a tire, paid for it. So I was definitely like, "Wow." Um, and so the vibe was good. So anyway, I get the tire fixed. We follow each other to the Cheesecake Factory over in Perimeter. We hold hands walking into the Cheesecake Factory. So in my mind, I'm like, this is just this. Oh my God, I had butterflies. That's the look of a woman who had butterflies. So I had butterflies, and we go in. There's a long wait, and so we sit outside and we just talk. And the conversation's great. And this is where he tells me what it is he's looking for. He tells me, I believe at the time he was 42. He was like, "I want to get married and it be for real." He's like, "My parents were married 40 plus years before my mom passed away. And I want that. I want marriage, family, a house. Like, that is what I want." He was like, I'm as a man, I'm ready to get married, but I want it to be for real, because the first time, it really hurt me when she cheated on me."
So that all really sounds actually really good. Although, you know, I don't know, first date kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, I, I probably done a very similar sort of thing back in my youth, but I wasn't divorced, saying it. So right out of the gate, I don't know. This is just kind of weird. It to me, the way she described the guy, it seems like he may have been kind of out of her league or she may have thought he was out of her league, and so she's playing up, right? She's dating up in this case, or she thinks she is. Let's hang on. We'll see where this goes. Let's get back to the video, guys. This is it's kind of slow going, I'll be honest with you. If I can figure out how to accelerate the speed a little bit, let's go ahead and try like 1.5 times speed. Let's try that. All right. So ignore the weird voices.
So he's telling me everything that I wanted to hear. And so he was like, "What is it that you want?" And I said pretty much the same thing. I was like, "I'm ready to get married, definitely want to have a family, and I want to marry my best friend." So we both put on the table that we wanted marriage. And this is the end of part one. All right, who the fuck did I marry? Part two. So we both put on the table what it is that we wanted. We both had established we were dating for marriage. We were not dating just to date. We were not trying to be friends with benefits, and none of that. So the dinner at Cheesecake Factory went really well. We laughed, we joked, we talked about people, which is kind of up my alley, my sense of humor. It was a good vibe. So at the end of the date, or excuse me, at the end of dinner, we sat in his car and he played this song for me by John Legend. I don't know the name of the song, by the time this video posts, I will put the name at the bottom. I can't remember the song. I just remember that John Legend was talking about, "I think I met my wife tonight." And I thought it was a sign. So I was like, "Oh my God." So anyway, we ended up sitting in the car talking just about life and experiences until about midnight. So during this conversation, he again is telling me how it was, what it was like living in California, how he went out there, he went to San Diego State, he played football for San Diego State. He talked about how, life, he loved it out there, so he stayed. That's when he joined the company. Um, and then he explained that he also did arena football, but only did it for about 2 or 3 years. He claims that while he was doing arena football, the team that he was on won a championship. But again, keep in mind, I don't know anything about arena football. So I was like, it was in the studio. Now, I'm telling you guys all of this in order of how it happened. So some things I'm probably going to insert what I was thinking and the mistake I made. Can I turn this off? No. Okay, so that. And I say that to say that I did not realize inviting him to my home probably made his eyes go, "Oh shit, she's a keeper. She got this 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath townhouse, and I'm in like a little studio. Yeah, let me let me go ahead and pursue this. What I need to do to quarantine here. The decision was made, quarantine at my house. So the state went on lockdown. He came and stayed with me in my home. And for the most part, in the initial beginning, it was fine. It was fine. The reason why I hesitate is because I grew up in the church. So for me, it was really like an internal struggle of, bruh, you always said you would never live with a guy unless he was your husband. And now you living with a dude and he ain't your husband. Like, it was a struggle for me because I knew better. And don't come for me. I'm just telling you the way I grew up. It was like that. It was not sitting right with me. But at the same time, I didn't want to quarantine by myself. I did not want to. So there we go. So he moved in. We talked about the bills. Let me clear something up that I said in the other video where I said he paid all the bills. He paid all the household bills. He did not pay my car payment, my cell phone, or my car insurance. He paid the rent because my rent at the time was less than $1,000. He paid the utility bills. And so when he's telling me that he's a regional manager, I
All right, so I got to stop here. So the way she made it sound like in the beginning is that like she owned this 3 bedroom townhouse or house or whatever it was that she said. I'm not going to rewind it to see, and that he just had this little tiny studio apartment and all of that. And let's be honest, there was no way that she was going to go to his studio apartment to quarantine. She was going to quarantine in place no matter what, and he just and it was just convenient for her to have him there. Now I don't. I think this is a little bit disingenuous, and I think it's a little, it's just one of those things that people say to to incur, kind of these feelings of, aw, she's being taken advantage of, but she wasn't. I don't believe that she was, and apparently he paid the bills, and even paid the rent. So I am not really sure where we're going with this, but let's keep listening.
was like, wow, okay, so you got money. Um, and so he paid all the household bills. So my check really was just taking care of me, myself, and I. And I am not. This is where it's not gonna make me look good, but it's the truth. It was intoxicating to not have to worry financially about how to pay the bills. It was a wonderful feeling. And so I kind of pushed to the side the fact that, yeah, you shacking up, because it's like, but your paycheck, you don't have to worry right now. Like, he's taking care of all of April's bills before April even comes, because this was still March. So we're living together, and I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, he's helping to cook and clean. And then we have a conversation about house. Is he still going to buy a house just for him, or is he going to buy a house where it's for us? Because we are going to try to make this thing work, be official, get married, have a family. So the question now on the table is, what are we going to do? Because I didn't want to stay in Riverdale, Georgia. I did not want to raise a family there. I refused to have a baby in Clayton County. So the decision was made. Let's start looking for a house for both of us. Remember, he was already looking for a house for him, but then he was like, you know what? We're together. I plan to marry you. Let's look for a family home for the two of us. He was like, this is how much I was approved for. That's when he showed me the Chase paperwork. It was a letter stating that and it had the Chase emblem at the top. He showed me a letter stating that he was approved for 700. All right, part 3. Who the fuck did I marry? So this is when he showed me a letter from Chase with the Chase logo at the top, stating that he had been approved for a mortgage, for a $750,000 mortgage, or a $750,000 house. So he was like, we can't go over 750. And I said, I remember asking him, can you afford the mortgage on a $750,000 house? Because I know I can. This is when he explains to me, I told you how I played arena football. I invested my money really well. So he said, I have money that will help pay for the mortgage. He was like, we're good. Like, I'm financially, I am okay. He was like, that's why I'm able to get approved for $750,000 mortgage. So he told me that his money was in different savings accounts. He said he had an account with Chase Bank, he had an account with US Bank, and he had an offshore account. This is what he told me. The offshore account, I was like, why? And he explained something about, the US, the US imposes taxes on money when you have a certain amount in US banks. He was like, so everybody knows that it's smart to have some money in an offshore account. Y'all, look, I live paycheck to paycheck. I was like, okay, that's whatever. I said, so you have the money to pay for a home. I'm also holding in my hand a letter from Chase saying that he was approved for $750,000. So I went off of what I saw. So we contacted a realtor. I won't say his name, but man, if he ever sees this TikTok, I owe this man such an apology. But we contacted a realtor who was based in Cobb County, because I was very adamant I wanted to move back to Marietta, Smyrna area in Cobb County, Georgia. He was fine with that. His whole attitude was, you're going to be my wife, happy life. So we met a realtor. I would find houses that I wanted to tour. Keep in mind that this was COVID, so at the time we could not tour a home. It would have to be a virtual tour. So this particular realtor, we found a house in Douglasville, Georgia, not Cobb County, but nevertheless it's in Douglasville. I was fine with Douglasville. So we found a house in Douglasville, Georgia. The realtor did a FaceTime tour of the house. The house was a nice home. 5 bedrooms, 4 baths. So we did a FaceTime tour of the home, and the home was listed, I believe, for roughly 400 and something thousand. I really like the house. I can see myself living there. I can see us living there. I can see us with the kid there. This is now April, just for timeline purposes. This is April. So he really liked the house. He was like, you know what, we'll put an offer in on the house. He was like, if you like it, because again, it was COVID, we weren't gonna be able to see the house in person because the family still lived there. So he said, I'll put an offer in. We'll see if it's accepted. I said, okay. So he puts an offer in. He's telling me he put an offer in. I need to clarify some things he told me and the things that I actually saw. So for this house in Douglasville, he told me he was putting an offer in. The realtor would call me because one thing that the realtor told us, he was like, if the woman likes the house, typically the house is going to get bought. So he kind of dealt with me a bit more than he did my ex-husband. And again, this is April 2020. This is before we got married. So at the time, he was my boyfriend. So the realtor was calling me and was like, hey, I put the offer in, and what they're asking for is proof of funds. And I did not know anything at this time about buying a house. So I was like, hey, you probably need to talk to him because I'm not even listed on the mortgage. Like from the paperwork I saw, it was only in his name. So he called him. I guess they talked. I was not there, but I'm assuming that they had talked. So the boyfriend is coming. My ex is coming home saying, yeah, I talked to so and so. I sent him over the paperwork. The offer was approved, and they are going to try to do a virtual closing. First, we got to do an inspection. If the inspection goes all well, then we have to do a virtual closing. He also told me that he put down earnest money on the home. He put down, I believe, 5,000. He said, I just transferred the money over to the realtor's account.
Man, I tell you that this is like just a bunch of rambling stuff. And what he told me that I don't understand where she's going with this. She needs to get to the she needs to land this plane pretty quick.
Whatever, so that it could be earnest money for the house. So I'm just like, okay, great. He was like, so realistically, this is April. We should be able to get in that house by June. Okay, no problem. So this is what he told me. About 3 or 4 days later, I get a phone call from the realtor, and the realtor is like, hey, I'm just checking to see what you guys want to do about that house. So I was confused. I'm at work, and I said, oh, I was told that he put an offer in, and the realtor was like, he did. I didn't know that he put an offer in. And I said, well, why wouldn't you know? Like he told me he put the offer in, and he had paid earnest money, $5,000 earnest money. And so the realtor was like, well, let me call him and find out what's going on with that because I didn't know anything about it. So red flag, of course. So I call him, and he in true narcissistic nature, he flips the script and he like goes off. He's like cussing, going off like he shouldn't. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. He shouldn't be calling you. If he has a question, he should call me because I'm the one that's on a mortgage. He was like, and now it's going to be an issue. And I said, well, did you put the offer in with him or not? And he said, no, I did not put the offer in with him. I put the offer in with a friend of mine who is a realtor, so I can give him the business. So I did not hear from that realtor again. So I was just like, is the house under contract or is it not? He was like, yes, the house is under contract. This is how crazy things work out. About 3 days later, on Realtor.com, I'm looking at the house because I was trying to figure out in my mind how I'm gonna decorate. It shows the house is under contract. So show my boyfriend. My boyfriend's like, I told you he was under contract. He was like, like, did you not believe me? And I ain't had a heart to say, hell no, I didn't believe you. Like, it seemed too good to be true. But once I saw the house was under contract, I absolutely believe that, okay, this is under contract with him. Like, yeah, we're about to do inspection. We are about to move. And so we had driven by the house because, again, keep in mind, the family's still living there. So we had driven by the house. At this point, he was like, I want us to start looking for furniture so that way we can go ahead and order it. So when it's time to move, the furniture is ready because, it takes like 6 to 8 weeks sometimes for furniture to be delivered if they don't have it in stock. Like he was very methodical and planning and saying, this is what we need to do. So we started going to Home Depot, Lowe's, because we had a printout of what the sellers were going to take. They were going to take the appliances. He had a printout. Let me be clear. He had a printout. So it said on there, that they were going to take the appliances. So we needed to get a new stove, new refrigerator, new microwave, all that stuff. So we went to Home Depot and Lowe's, and I went ham. I chose all these new appliances, and here's where we get into the shopping. All right, part 4. So we go to Home Depot, we go to Lowe's. I'm choosing all these appliances. He's taking pictures of the SKU number. We have representatives helping us, and he basically explains to
Hey,
me,
Don.
buying a house.
Yep.
We
Wow,
should
you're
Can you
right.
pause it? Pause.
Yeah, I'll pause it.
Can
Yeah,
we
give me a
order
second.
this stuff now? Can I put a hold on it? Like, what can we do? Because we're not ready for delivery.
But you need to
Yeah.
have that pause button handy if we do a react. You have 2 audio
Yeah.
sources. There's an echo.
Yeah, well, for some reason your volume is really loud. Let me
That's
see
weird.
why that is. Let's see. Oh yeah,
Okay.
I got you. I got you turned up pretty good. All right, let me turn that down because it's like blasting me out over here. All right, try that.
Your background noise too. I've got my inner monitors right now, so I can
Well,
literally hear everything besides myself. Is there
yeah,
a
so
way that I can hear myself on there?
no, I can't hear myself either. Not
It
without.
drives
Well,
me
I
nuts.
can't with headphones, but I don't put them on. I
It
just
drives me
talk.
nuts. I can't hear myself.
You can't hear yourself. Well, I hear myself. I can hear you.
Oh no, I have
Um,
in
oh, you've
ears.
got earbud. Yeah, I got you. I see.
No, like in ears, like
Yeah, yeah. I see. Yeah, I see them. Yeah. So the background noise is probably. So I'm out in the airplane shed, and I didn't like preheat it or anything. So I got a small heater running.
I mean,
To
like, just to give you an idea, it like goes all the
yeah,
way
like
in.
monitors. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like I can
Okay.
hear everything.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so I could just so you know the video, like it plays. I think you have 2 audio sources.
Yeah. It's the videos. It takes her a long time to land this plane. I don't know what I mean. There were a couple of red flags right out of the gate, but the rest of it is just her droning on about what the guy did.
Did you play it faster?
Yeah, it's at 1.5. So
Just hang
you
in
know,
there. Hang in
yeah,
there.
hang in there. All right, I'm hanging
I'm not
in.
a TV person.
Yeah, I got you. I
And
got
I
you.
got hooked.
All right, well, I'm gonna start her back up.
Delivery.
No, don't. It's fine.
All right,
As a Home
hang
Depot
on.
Just play it from where you were.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm starting it.
said,
I'm
we can
hitting.
hold it in
I'm
our
on
warehouse.
pause.
Like, you can buy something and we can hold it. People do it all the time, especially with COVID. So I watched him pay. I want to say it was about it was either $350 or $500. I watched him pay a deposit on a whole new set of appliances for them, and they were going to hold it until we were ready for delivery. I watched this. So I was like, okay, good deal. Like, we got the appliances. Next, let's go to Rooms to Go and Ashley Furniture and find actual furniture. So we went all around Rooms to Go. We went to Ashley Furniture. We went to American Signature. And I saw all these things that I wanted. Again, he's taking pictures of it. He was like, I can go online and order it. I didn't think anything of it because, again, I just saw that we held the appliances. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So April turns into May. May 2020 comes. This is where things start to get a little interesting. May comes, and obviously we had not done inspection. And I'm asking him all the time, so what's the deal with the house? He was like, oh, because of COVID, they're trying to get someone to do the inspection. But the guy that they had, it was always something. The guy they had caught COVID, so they're going to have to get somebody else. And he's like 15 houses backed up, so it'll be a while. So at this point in May, I know I look crazy. In this point in May of 2020, I started recording audio diaries. I don't know why. It was something just made me just start recording my thoughts in an audio diary, and I still have them. And I
So, I actually sold a house, bought a house and sold a house during that period of time. And it did actually take a long time to get inspections done. It really did. It was crazy.
Would save them by the date. And I would just start talking about what's on my mind. So I was like, I knew there was something was nagging me, like, but I kept pushing it out of my mind. I was like, you saw, this is what I reminded myself. You saw him pay for the appliances. You know the house is under contract. You know that he told you that he's the one who put the house under contract. Why would, I remember saying to myself, why would he lie about that? This is so easy to verify. Why would he lie about that? Have you caught him in any other lie? And at the time, the answer was no. So I really was like, maybe you just aren't used to a guy who actually does what he's supposed to do. Like I was questioning myself and then answering my own questions. So inspection didn't happen. Around mid-May, I found out I was pregnant. May 2020. When I found out I was pregnant, he was ecstatic and I was like, oh shit. The reason why I was oh shit is because number one, I'm plus size. Number two, because of my age, I felt like it was probably gonna be a high risk pregnancy. And I wasn't married. And that nagged, I cannot tell y'all how much it nagged me. There was a lot of internal struggle in between. My family didn't even know that he had moved in at this point. I told them, that I was pregnant, went to the doctor, everything looked good. But again, because it was COVID, he couldn't go in with me into the actual room. So, doing any sort of ultrasound, doing a blood test, because my HCG levels were really high. So the doctor was like, hey, it might be twins. We don't know yet. You're still kind of early, along. They gave me a due date. The due date was January 26th of 2021. So, yeah, May, found out I was pregnant. So there was now more of a push into, we got to get a house. We got to get the fuck up out of here. I'm not having a baby in Riverdale. Okay, nothing against Riverdale, but I ain't having a baby in Riverdale. So we need to find out what's going on with this house. And so he was on top of it. He had an answer for everything. He was like, I'm gonna call and find out what's going on, blah, blah, blah. He then magically told me about a week later, oh, they're going to do inspection on the house like in 2 days. So I was just like, okay, keep in mind, I'm taking his word for it. I'm taking his word for all this. So he's like, they're going to do an inspection. Once we get the inspection report back, then we will know what we are going to be responsible for. What are we getting ourselves into? So, I guess they did an inspection. He showed me an inspection report. Only thing that they said that the roof had just recently been replaced, which I remember he was very happy about. And the issues that there were for the house were minor. It was not a bad, because we did have a discussion about it. He was like, it's nothing that we can't handle. Then he said that we were set to close the end of May. We were set to close the end of May. He told me it was going to be a virtual closing.
I mean, all of this sounds pretty normal so far.
Because again, he's saying because COVID, people are not closing in the office. They're doing a virtual closing where you would need to electronically sign the paperwork. This is what he's telling me. And so he was like, we're set to close like just before Memorial Day. And so for some reason, again, there's still that nagging part. For some reason, I didn't start packing. Anyone that knows me will tell you I hate moving. I've done it enough in my life. I hate moving. But I did not start packing up that house at all. I was just like, I'm pregnant. My body was changing so fast that it was like I could barely keep my eyes open half the day. And so, no, I didn't start packing. And I remember I did record, again, I was recording audio diaries just about every day. When something didn't sit right, I would verbally record it in the audio diary because I was like, I don't know what it is, but there's something. That was the theme of our relationship. I don't know what it is, but I know there's something. And so I remember talking to myself in my little prayer closet, because that's where I would do my recordings. And I remember thinking, what if we don't get this house? Like, what if he's lying? But again, there goes that thought process of, why would he lie about this? Like, who makes up that they're buying a house when in fact they're not? And then he's showing you all this paperwork. Like, come on, you can't be that jaded that you don't even believe what's in front of you. All right. So now we're going to go into part 5. Okay, part 5. Who the fuck did I marry? So I'm questioning all this stuff in my head out loud on my audio diaries. And then once again, I'm like, but look at what he's giving you. Like, he's paying. It wasn't a question about money. It was just a question of, are we really about to move into this house? And keep in mind, he's paying all the household bills. He still is. So we were supposed to close before Memorial Day. We didn't. There was an excuse. There was always an excuse with him. Always an excuse. And I didn't know enough about the process to question stuff because I really wasn't involved the way I should have been. And it was giving me a lot of anxiety. So I'm pregnant with a lot of anxiety. And if I'm going to be 100% honest with y'all, I was not expecting that I was probably going to have a healthy pregnancy because I was stressed. And what I was stressed about is I didn't know what was going on because I wasn't really involved the way that a normal relationship would be involved. Just being honest. So we did not close. We moved now into June. This is now going into June. Around June 5th, I looked at the house again on realtor.com. I don't know what made me do it other than, and I don't mean to sound super spiritual. I know that people are like, you may or may not believe in God, but I'm telling you, I believe with all my heart. Probably the Holy Spirit was like, look at that house on realtor.com. So I looked at the house on realtor.com. This was around June 5th. It showed that the house was off the market. And I remember being like, okay, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? Because ex-husband is telling me we're about to close on the house. We're about to close. It's our house. We got furniture, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. He's also telling me that he's been in contact with the realtor, his friend, who was telling him, this is what's happening next. Here's what's going on. So the guy that we initially worked with apparently is completely out of the picture. But again, I was not heavily involved. So I'm just like, let me look at the house. I see it's off market. What the fuck does off market mean? Like, now I'm really freaking out. So it shows the name of the real estate agent for the seller. I don't remember her name. I called her and I said, excuse me. I said, my husband and I, even though I wasn't married, my husband and I were looking at this house at 123 Main Street. And we really wanted to tour it, but now I'm showing it's off market. Is it not available? Or, I pulled that card. And she was like, oh, no, ma'am. The home closed yesterday. It closed June 4th. Again, there are certain dates I just remember. And I said, oh, it closed June 4th? I was like, really? And she said, yes, ma'am. She was like, my sellers sold the house. And I was like, oh, man, okay. Well, I said, my husband and I really wanted, we love the pictures of it, and we're getting ready to start a family. So I would have loved to have been able to, have the opportunity to see it. I asked her something. I don't remember the specific question I asked her. And I know why I asked the question, because I was anticipating that my boyfriend at the time was going to have some sort of excuse. So I asked her something about the buyers. And I remember, and somehow, again, forgive me, I don't remember the question I asked her, but the answer was that it was an older white couple. So I get off the phone with her. I record an audio diary, and in the audio diary, I specifically say, okay, there is no house. He's going to have to get out of this lie somehow. Because now I realize, at the very least, he was lying about him being the one who was under contract. I knew enough about that. So I was like, what, how is he going to get out of this? Again, I've listened to the audio diary in 2024. I literally said in that audio diary, how is he going to get out of this lie? And I was trying to think of ways on how he's going to do it. And something said to me, because I say it on the audio diary, I said, he's going to say it's a bad deal. And he's going to say he wants to pull out. Y'all keep in mind, I'm pregnant. So I had a decision to make. As ugly as this decision was, I made the decision, you're about to have a baby with this man. He's paying all the household bills. Let him get out of the lie. And that's what I did. I purposely made the decision that I knew he was going to come back, and I knew he was going to give me some bullshit on why he couldn't buy the house, because he didn't know that I knew that house is already sold. The house.
I mean, come on. Do you believe that? I mean, that's.
Oh, it actually happened.
No, I mean, I understand that but do you believe that she made that decision to do that, or or she's just now just saying that now to make herself look better or whatever?
I don't understand.
So do you think that she is basically saying that to make herself look better now, like she knew then that it was a problem, but she went ahead anyway, and she made a conscious decision to let this guy lie his way out after after months, or I guess 2 months of kind of faking.
Oh, she'll go over that later.
Oh, okay, all
She
right, all right.
admits
Well,
that. Yeah.
yeah, we'll keep going.
And this is the part where I said, I'm gonna be honest, even though it's gonna make me look bad, because most women in their right mind would have been like, I'm out, and I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why she's still in it.
Sure enough, he came home. He didn't really say anything that day. The next day, I asked him about the house, and he said, my friend, the realtor,
Grid
he
pause.
was like, I'm talking to him because something's going on with the interest rate.
Pausing.
That's not something you and I would even remotely have the patience to deal with for over like 7 days. Certainly not even shopping on Zillow. That would be, no, you're useless. Bye.
It's just odd that she wasn't involved in it, and she's like, it's like, well, I just really don't want to be a part of it, or whatever. And I just kind of was just there, and it all seems very odd to me. Like maybe there's parts that we aren't being told. You know what I mean?
Well, honestly, I know nothing of what's going on in like my boyfriend's bank account either, or like that kind of stuff. Like I would be the one like just floating on the boat, just rolling with it.
Yeah, I mean that you know that's
So,
that's true. I mean, that I can see that part of it. The part of it where she just doesn't know what's going on with her boyfriend's bank account, and all of the rest of the I get what she's saying there, right? Like, but being involved in the house buying process, especially if you're about to get married to somebody, it just seems like that she would have been more up on that, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm just not. I guess I'm not really figuring this out. But I mean, it sounds like that there's going to be like a colossal issue. Hopefully, this doesn't. Oh wow, we're only an hour into. We got.
oh,
Is it
wait for it. That's like, wait for it.
all right? Yeah, because I'm. This is
And when he said
wild.
that, I felt so much relief because I knew that I had been prepared for he's gonna give me some bullshit. So when he said there's something with the interest rate, I said, you know what? If this is literally what I said, y'all. If the interest rate isn't good, then we shouldn't move there. We should probably let this house go. We should cancel whatever furniture we ordered or appliances, and let's just look for another house. I said I would like to be moved before the end of the year. I said I really don't want to be 9 months pregnant moving into a house. I would like to be done with this before then. And the way I said it was so calm. And he was like, okay. He was like, I'm gonna call the realtor, and tell him I'm backing out of the house, and I'm gonna see if I can get my earnest money back. And I remember looking at him. I was standing in the kitchen, and I cocked my head to the side, and I said, okay, get your earnest money back, and let's find another house. And so that's how that first house fell through. So, fast forward. I keep looking at this to see how much time I have because they only give you 10 minutes. So this is part 5. Part 6 is coming up. But subsequently, what ends up happening the next week, which is mid-June, I was at work, and I started cramping, started bleeding. And at this point, my doctor, I had just had an ultrasound earlier that day. So I went to work because the ultrasound was fine. I went to work, and the cramping and the bleeding started. And I started crying because I kind of knew what was going on. And my doctor had called me and told me that when they did the ultrasound, they did not see a
Just put it
heartbeat.
on
She was like, this pregnancy
1.75.
is not going to be viable.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to speed
So
it
I'm
up.
crying
This
in his
is
Yeah.
ear.
this is just
And
gonna
now we're
take
going to get into
forever,
part
man.
6. Okay, so this is part 6 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So where we left off. So obviously, my doctor had called and told me there was no heartbeat, the pregnancy was not viable at that point, and I was cramping and spotting at work. Went into my best friend's office and immediately started crying. She was like, "What's going on?" And I said, I told her what the doctor said, and she grabbed her keys, grabbed her purse, and was like, "Let's go. I'm taking you home." On my way home, I called my boyfriend and told him what the doctor said, and he was like, "I'll meet you at home." So he was coming from Duluth, went straight home. And so about 24, 48 hours later, I had a doctor's appointment, and my doctor gave me 3 options. First option, let everything happen naturally. Your body will expel the fetus on its own. Second option, you can take a pill which will induce expelling the fetus at home. The pill basically will cause you to contract and expel. The third option was to go into the hospital and do a DNC. I did not want to do a DNC because I did not want to be in a hospital with COVID going on. And for whatever reason, I did not do the option of let it happen naturally. So I chose to do the pill. His birthday was June 17th. My ex's birthday was June 17th. So the decision was made. We're going to celebrate his birthday that day, go out to eat. And then that night I would take the pill because we both were off from work the next 2 or 3 days. So went out to eat, try to celebrate as best we could, and then took the pill that night. That night was the most traumatic, excruciating pain I've ever put my body through. I do not recommend any woman, if prayerfully you don't have to go through that, but I don't recommend taking that pill. If you don't have to, don't do it. I spent the whole night in the bathroom just crying in so much pain. They gave me a narcotic. I couldn't take it because I found out I was allergic to it. So it was causing me to like projectile vomiting. And it was a mess. So, and he was right there. He was scared that he needed to take me to the ER. But in the morning, the pain kind of subsided. So About 72 hours later, I had another doctor's appointment where the purpose of this appointment was to do an ultrasound to see if everything had passed. Everything did not pass. So because of that, my doctor was like, we're going to have to do a DNC. Um, my DNC was scheduled for the first week of July. My boyfriend, my ex, was going to take me. That was always the plan. 2 days before my procedure, he comes home and tells me that he is up for promotion. He's up to be promoted to VP. Because of this, the president of the company, excuse me, is coming in, and it was going to be this huge business meeting he had to go to. The business meeting was scheduled for the day of my surgery. And so I'm throwing a fit because I was like, there's no way you can do that meeting. Like, I need you to take me to the hospital and all this other stuff. And so he offered to have his sister take me to the hospital. Apparently his sister lived in Douglasville. I was like, no, because I've never met her. Like, I'm not having a stranger take me to the hospital. No, this is a private situation. I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. So my aunt had offered to take me. And then my friend who took me home from work had offered to take me. So at that point, we get into an argument because he's like, my sister is, you about your family, so why can't she step in? And I was like, no, because I don't know her. Period. I don't know her. So my friend offers to take me to the hospital because I was all distressed that he's saying he has a business meeting and he can't take me. So I remember being on I-75 on the connector on the phone with her crying because I was so embarrassed that he wasn't going to be the one to take me and that I was needing to rely on someone else to take me to the hospital in order to get a DNC done. And she was really great. She was like, girl, this is why you have a village. Like, it's okay. Things happen. The world is crazy right now. I will take you. You're going to be okay. So he did not take me to the hospital for my DNC. My friend did. She could not stay because of COVID protocol. So when they wheeled me into pre-op after I got checked in, I texted him and was just letting him know, hey, here's the update. I'm about to, I'm in pre-op. They're going to get me prepared to go back to the surgical ward or whatever. And the response I got was from his new executive assistant named David. Now, when he told me he was up for the promotion, he did tell me that part of getting this new job would be that he would get an executive assistant named David. And he did tell me, I'm going to make sure that I inform David, if you get a text from this number, meaning from me, pull me out of the meeting because, my fiance's having a procedure done and I'm picking her up. So it's important that you come get me if it's something serious. So I text him. David responds. He said, yeah, Mr. Blah, blah told me that you are having a procedure done. If you need me to get him, I can go get him. He's in a meeting. Just let me know what you need. And I just said, no, don't bother him. I'm just giving an update that they're about to take me back. And David responds and says, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. So I have the procedure. I wake up and I'm now in recovery. I should be in recovery 45 minutes up to an hour and a half. I wake up, first thing I ask, and I remember asking is, where is so-and-so? The nurse who was so sweet, she was like, everything went well. You're doing great. She said, we spoke to your fiance. He's on his way. So I said, okay, okay. I kind of dozed back out, but I could still hear everything that was going on. I just could not keep my eyes open to save my life. So I hear her talk to the other nurse. And that's when she said, yeah, Dr. So-and-so called her fiance and his executive assistant picked up. And the executive assistant said that he was in a business meeting and that, you could relate to him what you need to say. And he'll, he'll tell the fiance. And my doctor was like, hell no, HIPAA, I need to speak to him. So apparently my fiance called the doctor back about 30 minutes later. And the doctor informed him, she'll be ready to be discharged in about an hour. You can make your way and come pick her up. He said he was on his way. He was on his way from Duluth to Atlanta, which is not a huge distance, but the time of day, one thing about Atlanta, there's always traffic. So he should have been there within the hour. I should have only been in recovery an hour and a half. Let's go to the next part. Part 7, who the fuck did I marry? So I should have been in recovery at Northside Hospital for about at most an hour and a half. Subsequently, I ended up being in recovery between 3 to 3.5 hours. The nurses kept calling
This
my
is
ex,
literally like
asking
painful,
what's the
like
status, because
paint
they were
dry.
actually getting ready to do a
This
shift
is
change.
terrible.
So they kept calling, asking what's the status, like where are you? I want to say that they called a total of 3 times and they spoke to him twice. So at this point, I knew that they were all like, where's her fiance? Like, what is going on? He said he was stuck in traffic. And so he was making his way there. He eventually did get to Northside Hospital, and they wheeled me down because, again, he couldn't come in just because of the protocols. So when I got in the car, and I'm in pain, but yet drugged up, couldn't keep my eyes open, couldn't really, I was just out of it. But I remember him calling my aunt and my mother and letting them know I picked her up. We're on the way home. Let me get her settled, and then I'll give you guys an update. I remember that. What I did not know was that he had texted my aunt and my mom and asked them to not bother me for like a week. Like, just please don't reach out to her. Let her just rest. I am from New Jersey. I am from an African-American family. You don't tell my Black mama or my Black aunt that, please don't bother her for a week. I didn't know this at the time, but I'm just interjecting that part. I'm trying to say in the
What has
timeline.
this got to
But
do with
he
anything?
did apparently do that. And my aunt was
Seriously.
like, why will fuck you up? Anyway, so go home. He waits on me hand and foot. I recover. Just needed about 24 to 48 hours to just get my mind right. During this time, in between when the house in Douglasville fell through, we had not talked about a house. So I guess it was about a week later after the DNC. He decides that, do you want to start looking for a house? Excuse me, I have hiccups, y'all. Do you want to start looking for a house again? Because of what happened with the house in Douglasville, I felt like I was smarter this time to say, I want to be involved in every aspect because I don't know what the fuck happened with that house in Douglasville. But what I do know is that he lied to me. I didn't know then what I know now. I just knew he lied about I knew he lied about being under contract. So I told him, I said, I don't want to work with your friend who I've never met, never talked to. I know that he has talked to him because he's talked to him in front of me. And I'm going to demonstrate on one of the videos how he used to do his phone calls. Don't worry, it's coming. So we found a new real estate agent. Really nice guy. His name was Scott. I am using his real name. Really nice guy. And we told him what the budget was. And Scott was like, okay, when you guys are ready, we can start looking at houses. Try to look for houses that are empty because you can actually tour those. If there's a house where someone's already living in there, chances are it's going to be a virtual tour because of COVID. So I found a house that I absolutely, in total, we must have looked at about 15 houses. But I found a house in Smyrna that I absolutely loved. We toured the house. Everything about this house was perfect. The house was listed for $699,000. It was a brand new construction build. The only issue was that the basement was not finished, and he wanted the basement to be his man cave. Again, I went with him to tour this house. So this was already feeling very different than the situation in Douglasville because we did not actually tour the Douglasville house. We only did a FaceTime virtual tour. This house in Smyrna, we toured. We toured this house more than once. And it was gorgeous, fucking gorgeous. So we talked about it. He said that he had the money. Again, the price was $699. He said he felt comfortable putting in an all-cash offer. If you remember on the videos before, he told me he had money in his savings from when he played football. So when he said an all-cash offer, even I knew, you got that kind of money? Like, where you can cut a cashier's check for $699,000? And he told me he did. He had money in savings from when he played football, and he was very comfortable paying all cash for this home. So the real estate agent, Scott, sent over the paperwork. The paperwork was sent in both of our names. It was sent to my email. That was another thing that I changed after Douglasville. Everything is sent to me. And then I will be sure that he signs it. So he sent it to me. I looked over the offer. We were going to put in an all cash, full price offer with a request to have the basement finished. Also, we were requesting for the seller to give us an answer within 24 hours. We were requesting a quick closing. These are just some things I remember. I remember 24 hours. Like, I didn't want to wait on y'all. Think about it. 24 hours. Let us know if you're accepting the offer or not. And then also a quick closing because it was a new construction. So we didn't have to wait for the current tenant to move out. We didn't have to do that. So I watched in our bedroom as he pulled it up because it was a electronic document. He signed his name to the offer for $699,000 cash. He requested again, the seller let us know in 24 hours if they were accepting the offer. So we submitted the offer at around 6 p.m. We were requesting that by 6 p.m. the next day, they let us know if the offer was accepted or not. I watched him sign the offer. I sent the offer back to Scott from my email. All parties had signed. Scott texted us and said, I got it. I'm submitting it. I will let you know what they say. Let's go into part 7. Sorry, let's go into part 8. Good grief, this is getting long. Okay, so I just want to clear up some things that I realize is kind of creating some confusion. So just allow this video to serve as a stop sign. Let's clarify. First of all, the story, background. He was born in Philly, raised in Philly, and moved to Augusta.
I'm going to go to sleep if she keeps going. This is
high
terrible.
School, he went to college at San Diego State.
Really?
Enjoyed San Diego State.
Yeah, this is like watching paint dry, to be honest.
Got married out in
None
California,
of
had
this
a
stuff
house
is
in California,
relevant.
played arena football out in California, but his family was back here in Augusta, Georgia. He still had a lot of family up in Philly, but for the most part, he had a sister in Augusta, he had a sister in Douglasville, he had a brother in Baltimore, he had another brother in Philly, and he had a brother in Nashville. So I just want to clarify that in terms of not the demographics, but the geography. Born in Philly, came to Augusta for high school, went to San Diego State for college, played football, stayed at San Diego, got married out there, but still had quite a bit of family here in here in Georgia. He also had a sister, I think I said, who lived in Douglasville. I have physically met his aunt who lived in Augusta. I've met his brother who lives in Augusta. I have spoken on FaceTime with a brother who lives in Baltimore. And then I will demonstrate how he used to talk to the brother that lives in Philly. That's coming up. You haven't missed that. In terms of the proposal, you did not miss the story of the proposal. I simply didn't want to share it because it was embarrassing. Basically, he gave me 3 ring options. We went to a jeweler at the Mall of Georgia. He had me pick out 3 rings. I told him which one I liked the most because I knew it wasn't a romantic proposal at all. I knew which ring I liked the most. I told him which one. He basically said, when I'm ready, I'll give you the ring and I'll propose. Fast forward about, I guess it was summer because I was actually pregnant when the ring came. We were sitting at the dinner table. He took the ring box out of his pocket, slammed it on the dinner table. And I was like, what is this? He was like, open it. I opened it. Inside was the ring that I had wanted, that I had chosen at the jeweler. And he was like, all right, so this means that you're going to be my wife. I was pregnant. So, again, when I asked y'all to give me grace, it's because there are certain things that's just like, girl, what was you thinking? Trust me, there's no excuse.
Biological clock.
Will you marry me? It was more of a, we're living together, we're having a baby together. We need to get married, because the backstory also was that his dad was a retired police officer, but when his father was a pastor. So he could quote the Bible like nobody's business, as we all know. So can Lucifer. But anyway, he could quote the Bible like no one's business. And so that's how we ended up engaged. And I was wearing a ring. I will find a picture and I will try to post it. But I was wearing a ring. Don't worry, there's more to that story as well. So just want to clarify some things for the people who were like, wasn't it weird that he had a sister who lived close, but he's from Philly? So I just wanted to definitely bring clarity to what he told me was the backstory. Born in Philly, came to Augusta for high
So when are we going to get into something worth talking about? This is just a crazy person just rambling on about stuff. Like is there something that's going to be earth shattering? Because this is all like, I mean, this isn't even normal people problems. This is just, I mean, apparently she picked out a heck of a ring and got it. Like, why is she complaining about getting the ring? I mean, I can kind of understand the way the guy did it, but maybe that's his style. Maybe that's what, now she's going back and saying, I just didn't like the way he did that or whatever.
That's the
Um,
kind of story that, like, if you watch a movie and you're just like, what the fuck is that? And
I
then, like,
mean,
you just arrive at, like, almost like you just try to, like, enjoy the movie, and by the end, it's just, like, everything kind of, like, aligns. Like, if you would have skipped it, the story would make zero sense. And then you just go, like,
I
holy
hope so,
shit.
because this right now is just like, this is like watching paint dry. This is like not even
If you're
like,
getting bored,
honestly,
if you're getting bored,
I don't think that she makes good choices to start with, and I don't,
of
um,
course she's not. That's the whole point. But
yeah,
if you can figure out how I can get my playback, because I don't know if that's on your end, if you're bored, you could try to figure out if that's something you can fix on your end.
get your what back? Oh, your playback.
Playback, so I can hear myself talk.
I don't. Yeah, I don't have any control over your audio.
I really have barely any control. This is why
I don't have any
Discord
control
voice
over your
hangout. This is why I
audio.
like to do stuff through a Discord voice hangout, because like it's those options are there, and it's like
Yeah,
it's just there, like,
it's
and
interesting. Okay,
everybody's
well
used to it.
let's try and muddle through this. Hopefully, we're an hour into this thing. It's crazy. I mean, it's I really don't. I mean, let's hope we see what's
Is
going
your
on here.
wife watching?
I don't know. I don't. Actually I closed YouTube because um
What?
yeah, I closed YouTube because it I had it up. I had sent her the link. Let me get it again. Let me
Okay, on
and
what
it
platform
the
did you stream
problem
it
was
on?
that the audio started up, and there we go. So
You had to mute one of them.
yeah, so I had to turn the audio off on so there are two whole people watching right now this train wreck in slow motion. But all right, let's get back to it.
Went to
Let's roll through
California
this.
for college, played football at San Diego State, played football and arena football, worked at Apple, and then joined a condiment company in California.
Also,
Arena
football players
football.
do actually make
Back
money.
to
Even
Georgia.
the arena guys
Was married in
made pretty good
California.
money.
If you're gonna
Back to
speak,
California.
pause it.
That is important as well.
No.
Will come up again later. And so the ex-wife, at this point in time, at the time that I'm telling you, part 7, which is the last video I just.
Also the football player guys, they even the arena guys made pretty good money. I
No,
think.
they make like $18 an hour. You play arena football, you're broke as fuck.
Really? I
It's
thought they
like,
made
yeah, for
pretty good
like the
money.
whole 5 hours, like nobody has bothered to Google how much arena football players make.
I thought arena
Like, she would
football
have
guys.
known that
Maybe
this
that
guy
was
was like a whole catfish the whole time. If she would have just
maybe it was
bothered
that
looking that
back when I
up.
was a youngster, they made good money, right? So
Yeah,
okay,
but
all right.
like not some like not some like 200 grand and up kind of money.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Like
thought they made pretty good
McDonald's
money back
money.
in the day, but arena football has been kind of dead for like 10 years, 20, 15 years, 20 years, something like that.
You'd make.
Um,
Oh, it works now. Sorry. I had it in my OBS, but there's a delay now.
well, there's a delay if you try and watch it on YouTube or something.
Oh
And
no no no! It's that's not that has nothing to do with it. It's fine.
okay, yeah. There's a like a 5 second delay built in to YouTube, and you can't get rid of it. I've tried everything to get rid of it.
No,
YouTube
you can't.
just does it. Can't do
No, no,
it.
I'm talking about my OBS. It's not you. So
I got you. Yeah, I downloaded OBS. I'm going to play with that tomorrow. So, all right, I'm going to start it up.
Posted. The ex-wife lived in California with her two kids, his two stepkids. The two stepkids were 17 and 20 or 21, but they were that age group. And he was saying that he was very close with them. So he wanted to keep a tight relationship with them. And he talked to them, if not every day, every other day. When I say, when I say this, I need y'all to understand. When I say that he talked to someone, it means that he was on the phone in front of me talking to the person. I hope that, because I will touch back on this. He was on the phone in front of me talking to the person. So he talked to his siblings every day. He talked to his aunt almost every day. He talked to his family the way I talk to my family almost every day. And again, I will demonstrate how he used to do the phone calls. I will also demonstrate how he used to do the work phone calls, because he called me every single day from work. And he would talk to people while he was on the phone with me. And I could hear people in the background. But that's a whole nother part. So again, buckle your seats. I promise I'm reading your comments, I'm reading your questions, but I wanted to bring this video just to clarify some stuff. Hopefully this helps. And honestly, I know people are fascinated by this, but more than anything, I hope that there's a woman watching this and she's saying to herself, okay, it's time for me to ask some questions. That's my hope. All right, part 8 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So we submitted an offer on the house in Smyrna. I sent it over to Scott, our realtor, and next day comes, Scott asks if we can take a phone call. So he calls us and tells us that the offer was not accepted and the builder did not do a counter offer. We don't exactly know why. We don't exactly know why he didn't accept it, but the bottom line is that we figured out later on that he didn't want to finish the basement. So the offer was not accepted. The house fell through. I was okay with that because, again, I knew he had put in an offer. So we continued looking at other houses. We found another house in Smyrna that he really liked. I thought that it was way too big for just the two of us. And so the price of this home was much higher than the $750,000 that Chase had approved for the mortgage. So what he explained to me was that he was willing to do the $750,000 mortgage, and he was also willing to put a significant amount of the money in savings on the house, which meant that he was now comfortable going from $750,000 up to about $900,000. Again, his whole explanation was, I have the money where I can put down a substantial down payment, bring down the price of the home, and then basically mortgage the rest of it. So that was now the plan. I was not comfortable with a home over $900,000. But again, keep in mind, I saw the Chase paperwork. So I was like, I just feel more comfortable sticking at the $750,000 mark. That's what you approved for. Let's go with that. By this point, this is now fall of 2020. We have been talking about marriage. I had my ring. He had made VP at the company. And again, he was calling me every day from work. I need to kind of explain how the company was ran, because when you think VP, you would think he would be in an office. It was a condiment company. So they actually were producing the condiments. And I'm not saying the name of the company on purpose, but they were producing the condiments in this particular plant location. So a lot of times he would simply tell me that he walked the floor, checking in with his subordinates, basically. Now, how did he go to work? For the most part, at this point, he left before I woke up. However, pretty much he wore dress pants, kind of like a dark navy blue cargo pant, and he had a polo shirt with the company logo on it. What I saw a lot of times is that he would not wear the polo shirt to work. He would wear like a company t-shirt. He would wear rubber sole shoes and the navy blue cargo pants. I didn't think it was a uniform, but it reminded me of what someone would wear when I worked at Amazon, if you're going to be doing manual labor. He didn't go to work sloppy looking at all, but it definitely was not suit and tie. Nowhere near suit and tie. It is fair to note that outside of work, he was a man who he loved to dress. He loved to wear the latest Jordans. He loved to collect watches. He collected a lot of Invicta watches. He loved to collect hats. He wore hats, baseball caps everywhere because he didn't like the shape of his head. So in terms of how he dressed casually, the man, he could dress. In terms of how he dressed for work, yeah, he didn't dress like a VP. But his excuse was, I'm constantly walking the production floor, and I can't be in a suit and tie walking the production floor where they're creating the condiments that we're selling. So by this point, again, this is fall. We're still looking at houses. We're still touring houses as much as we can because it is COVID. We had found another house that we really liked and a house that I really, truly wanted to put an offer in on. This was now going to be the second house that we put an offer on. He put in the asking price, I believe, was about $700,000. He put in under asking an offer for about $650,000. I'm guessing, but I'll try to find the house and put it on this story. The reason that house fell through, we found out that the home was sitting on a septic tank. We found out that the septic tank had an issue, and it would have taken about $15,000 to $20,000 to fix the septic tank. The sellers were not willing to fix the septic tank. Personally, I didn't really care for the house that much. I'm the one who was like, I don't really want it. So even though we put an offer in, we had 24 hours where we could pull our offer back. And so we did. Once we found out, I believe it was in the disclosure. And if you're a realtor, please feel free to tell me if I'm using the wrong terminology. But I believe it was in the disclosure that they told us the septic tank needs to be replaced. That's when I was like, nah, I don't want that house. So we pulled out. The house fell through. And so I was fine with it because, again, I was heavily involved. I saw him sign the offer. I knew every step of what was going on. Our real estate agent, Scott, was amazing. But you will see when I get to it where he made a mistake as a real estate agent. So house number 2 fell through. We then moved on, saw a few more houses, and then we get to house number 3. I'm going to pause talking about the houses because now I need to introduce what happened with the cars. Stay tuned. All right. Part 9 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So we're pausing on the house stuff. Let me tell you about the car. So when I met my ex-husband, I was driving a 2012 Nissan Rogue, fully loaded. It had quite a few miles on it, but it got me from A to B. It was in good condition, but I was upside down in the car. He was driving a 2018 Ford Taurus, sport mode. I know he had a sport mode on the car, and I love driving that car. When he told me how he was a regional manager, he told me that one of the perks that came with the job was that he would be getting a company car. And so we spent time going to Range Rover of South Atlanta. We spent time going to Jaguar. We spent time going to BMW. We spent time going to Ford, which was on Mount Zion in Morrow, if you all are familiar with that area. He test drove a whole lot of cars. In the end, he decided on a BMW sedan. I was there when he test drove the car. I got in the car with him. I loved it. And he explained to the salesperson, I'm getting a company car. I need to get a printout of the full price of the car, tax, tag, and title. Because what my company is going to do is wire over the money for the car. The salesperson was like, okay, apparently that happens a lot. So he gave him a printout with the tax, tag, and title for the car. In front of me and the salesperson, he called the person in the finance department for his job. Obviously, I have no idea what this person's name is, but he called the person. He explained to them, this is the amount of money. He said the president of the company, so-and-so, has authorized for him to get a car, not spending more than, I think, $90,000 tax, tag, and title. The BMW came out to just under $90,000. And so I remember this conversation so fucking vividly. So he's on the phone in front. I'm sitting down. The salesperson sitting down at their desk, and he's like, they put me on hold. And so he's like, I guess the person comes back, and he says, the price of the car is blah blah blah. He was like, give me a second, and I can send you a picture of that printout that shows tax, tag, and title for the BMW. He gets off the phone. He takes a picture of it. He sends it to whoever. He waits about 10 minutes. He calls the person back. He says, did you get it? Apparently the person did get it, but the person who can actually physically do the wire transfer had gone home for the day. So what he says to the BMW salesperson, he's like, okay, we're going to have to do this tomorrow because so-and-so went home for the day. I don't know who the salesperson is. I can only tell you from my viewpoint what I thought. I had no reason to think this was a lie. I really didn't. Because again, you got to please keep in mind the circumstances that all of this is happening. We're inside the dealership. We're sitting at the desk of this person. He gave us the printout. He's on the phone, doing business, basically saying, look, this is how much money the car is going to cost. He's taking a picture of it. He seemingly is texting someone saying, this is how much, this is proof of how much it is. Then he asked the BMW salesperson, I need your wire transfer information. The guy got up, rushed over to, I guess, their finance area to get the bank wire information, because obviously you have to wire it a certain kind of way.
No, I'm still here.
Gives it to my ex-husband. My ex-husband's like, okay, first thing in the morning, we will get this wired over, and then I'll come and pick up the car.
I had to check my
we'll drive you up here to pick up the car.
Gotcha.
So we leave. He felt like, because at the time that this all happened, I was pregnant. So he felt like, look, we're about to have a baby. I don't want you driving that Nissan Rogue. I want to get you something more secure, something new. I really wanted a Kia. I really wanted a Kia Telluride. And he was like, well, let's look at the warranty. This man knew a lot about cars. He knew a lot about the warranty. He knew a lot about the depreciation value. And so he did talk to me a lot about what would we get the most for our money. We test drove, when I say we, I test drove a Kia Telluride, a Kia Sorento. He didn't like either of those. He had me test drive a Ford Explorer. He didn't really care for that. Then came time where he really wanted me to get a BMW. He really wanted me to get a BMW X5. So he took me to local BMW Imports, which, if you know anything about Atlanta, it's off of Cobb Parkway, but you can see it off the highway. I believe 285 is where you can see the Global Imports BMW dealership. He took me there. He had me test drive an X5, an X6. He also had me test drive I think I'm gonna get the numbers wrong, a 525, which was a sedan. I did not like that. I wanted an SUV.
I loved driving the BMW. He also had me drive an M Series, test drive an M Series. So he was very adamant that I should get a BMW. The reason being is because, according to him, he had a BMW in California when he lived in San Diego. He had a BMW that he loved. It was a white BMW. He showed me pictures of the BMW. So he showed me pictures of this white BMW that he had. And unfortunately, the car got totaled about 2 months before he moved to Georgia. So he had received money, not a lot, but some money to get another car, and he used it to get the Ford Taurus because he was like, I just need a car that's going to get me from A to B until I get into a house and I'm much more settled. For him, he was like, I'm really giving myself 60 days to get settled here in Georgia after moving from California. But then he met me. Again, that's the story. So he had me test drive the BMW.
This is painful.
So much so I loved the BMW.
If you want to stop, we can
I wanted a dark blue BMW with cognac interior. I wanted an X5.
I'm hoping it'll get
and
good.
I wanted an M Series. So I can clearly tell y'all that's exactly the car I wanted. We were online.
I mean,
looking
I
for
didn't
that
make
particular
it.
car because not every dealership had it.
I
was
know.
okay with a black
I blame
BMW
you.
if
Make
needed.
you watch it.
But I really wanted dark blue, and I really wanted that cognac colored interior. So he felt like, I want you to consider all of a sudden an Audi Q8. Let's just see how you like it. If you don't really like it, then we will go back to the BMW. I cannot tell you why he switched up. I can't. But I can tell you he took me to an Audi dealership on Peachtree Industrial. He test drove an Audi and I test drove an Audi Q8. I loved the Q8. Loved it. But I was tired of test driving cars. By this point, I had test driven so many cars. Our weekends were spent either looking at a house or test driving cars. And I was picky, I will admit that. So he had me test drive the Q8. I really liked it. I finally just told him, look, I'm good with either the BMW or the Audi. Because I'm tired of test driving cars. He told my family he was buying me a new car because keep in mind, let me let y'all know. He had met my family initially on Zoom because again, we were locked down. He had met my family. He also had met my family in person because at this point it was like, look, if you're not showing any symptoms, maybe we can do family dinner. And so he had met my family in person. And now we will go ahead and move towards part 10 of this series. Okay, part 10. Who the fuck did I marry? Okay, had to sneeze. All right, so at this point I had test driven all these cars. Kias, hell, he even had me test drive a Nissan Murano, but the main two were BMW and an Audi. He had told my grandfather he was getting me a car. He had told my aunt he was getting me a car, that he was going to, he was like, she's gonna be my wife. I want her to be in something secure. So my family was really like, wow, who knew that he had this kind of money? And so I hated the fact that he did that because anytime he got around my family, here's another red flag to put in the United Nations of red flags. He would always talk about money and he would always brag. I never realized it in real time. I didn't realize it until I was out of the situation. He always bragged about the fact that he could fight, the fact that he had money, and the fact that he played football. Those are the three things he always bragged about. Back to cars. So I told him, I was like, pick one between the BMW and the Audi because you said you're buying it. So pick one. So this man chose the Audi. So he takes me to the dealership. I wanted a white Q8. He does give me the printout of how much it's going to cost, tax, tag, and title to get this Q8. Gentleman who's helping us gives him the printout. He's saying he's going to pay this money for the car out of the savings account that's offshore. That's the story. That's what he's saying. So he apparently is asking the guy, is there a holding fee? Can I pay a holding fee to secure this car while I'm working to get the money transferred? Because obviously with COVID, it's going to take long for the banks to transfer the money. Side note, I need everyone to understand, one of the reasons why he was able to get away with the stuff he got away with is because we were on lockdown. It's crazy because it's now 2024, but I don't know, do we all remember how it seemed like a lot of stuff stopped in 2020 now? Keep in mind, that's not an excuse I'm making because shit still got done. But in terms of business as usual just was not happening in 2020 at this time. So when he's saying, it's going to take a while for the bank to transfer the money, the gentleman who was working at Audi he didn't make a face. He didn't blink. He was like, I know it's going to take a while because of COVID. So basically what ends up happening is we leave. He has the printout. He calls the bank or he calls his financial advisor, who does have a name. The financial advisor's name is Eric. I feel comfortable using certain people's names, especially if we find out they didn't exist. So he calls Eric. He tells Eric in front of me, hey, I need to transfer $72,526, whatever the amount was, because I'm buying a car for my fiance. This is the bank account information. Do you need me to give it to you over the phone or do you need me to email it to you? Pause. I can't hear what the person's saying, but that's what he would do. Do you need me to give it to you over the phone or can I email it to you? Okay. All right. Give me a few minutes and I'll go ahead and email it to you. All right. Let me know. I'll call you back to find out if you received it. Okay. Hang up. So I'm hearing this because again, I'm not paying attention to, did I hear anybody on the other phone? Did I hear anybody on the other end? So he proceeds to type up an email, type up something, telling him this is the information that we need. I didn't think anything of it. He called me at work the next day to tell me that the money was sent to Audi, that he called Audi and he confirmed with Audi that they received the money. What he told me is that the car is going to be delivered to the house. Y'all, it's not that I lived in a hood because I didn't, but I did not live in an area of Clayton County where you would have a brand new Audi delivered to your house. So I remember saying to him, I don't want that car delivered to the house, not yet, because I need to put that car in the garage. And my Nissan I only had a one car garage, so my Nissan was in the garage. So he said, okay, well, let me call them back and change the delivery date. Can you be home or can you do a half day? So he's asking me, can you work a half day so that they can deliver the car and you will be home for it? I said, yes, that's fine. Because again, it's COVID. I'm working from home anyway. I only had to go in the office 2 days a week. So I'm at home the next day. He told me the car would be delivered between the hours of 1 and 3. Obviously, between 1 and 3, nothing happened. So 3 o'clock, I called him. He's at work. He sends me a voicemail. He calls me back. I said, it's 3 o'clock. No one ever came with the car. What's going on? And then I remember I was like, well, do I need to call Audi myself? Because I thought that you handled it. But if you didn't handle it, do I need to call them? And so whenever I would suggest I will handle it, he would get very, very defensive. Red flag number 472. So he was like, no, I will call Audi. Don't do anything. I'll call Audi and find out what's going on. Okay. So I'm at home chilling, cooking dinner, normal night. He calls me back and says, yeah, the car was stuck on the truck in Spartanburg because apparently that's where their deliveries come from. So when he told me this, I was in the kitchen laughing because by this point, I will be honest, and I told you I'll be honest even when it makes me look bad. I was guilty of, on one hand, I believed him, and on the other hand, I was like, let me see what lie he come up with. Let me just see. But keep in mind, my brain was really like not rationalizing, not comprehending how deep the lie was. I just thought that no one told him the car was going to be delivered, and he made that up. I had no idea how deep the lie went. So he said, the car's in Spartanburg. It should be delivered this weekend. The weekend came, he had a whole other excuse. I don't remember what the exact excuse was as to why the car was never delivered. I do remember we got into an argument and I was like, don't even worry about it. I'm gonna get a new car my damn self. I don't even need your help. Which is probably one of the worst things you can tell a narcissist because they love to be the hero, it's all about them. But I was like, don't even worry about it. I'll get when I have the money to get a car myself, I'll do it. I don't want to hear anything else about a new car. I don't want to hear shit else about a car. Because at this point, I was spending way too much time trying to figure out, are we getting a car? Are we getting a house? Like, what the fuck is going on? Always there was an excuse. So when I told him I don't want to hear anything else about a car, and I am not going to a dealership to test drive another car, that ended that whole discussion right there. So this is where I'm going to interject what I believe was happening. I believe that my ex-husband is the type of person, he gets off, he gets off on you being excited about something that he knows you will never get. So I believe that he enjoyed going to car dealerships. He enjoyed watching me test drive a car and get excited about it, knowing I was not going to get it. It is the level of cruelty. And again, I'm telling y'all stuff that I found out way later on. It is the level of cruelty that I still cannot comprehend. So the whole issue about the BMW and the Audi, I think he just enjoyed seeing me get excited and then pull it away. Part 11 coming up. All right, part 11. So for this part, I'm just going to give you some backstory on the family. Pause all the stuff about the house. Pause the stuff about the car. This is backstory on his family, my ex-husband's family. All right, follow me. My ex-husband's parents, mom and dad, are both deceased. Mom passed away from cancer. Dad passed away shortly after her. I'm not sure what he passed away from. So he has a number of siblings. He has two, with his parents, he has two brothers. One is older, lives in Philly. One is younger by 2 years, lives in Nashville. He has two sisters. One, Shantae, is older, lives in Douglasville with her husband and 2 kids, a boy and a girl. Younger sister Kim is the baby, lives in Augusta with her husband, worked at, I think he told me, Procter & Gamble. That was the story. He had 2 half brothers that were through his dad. One brother lived in Baltimore. The other brother lived in Augusta. The brother that lived in Augusta, I have physically met in person, shook hands, hugged, all that. The brother that lived in Baltimore, I have FaceTimed with, talked to him. The brother that lived in Philly, the older brother that he looked up to, I have never talked to him on the phone. I would always talk to him through my ex-husband. So the conversation would be like, hey, babe, brother so-and-so said, hey, he didn't call him brother so-and-so. We'll call him John. John said, hey, John. I would be in the bathroom doing my hair, brushing my teeth. Hey, John. And he'd be like, did you hear? He said, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. How's he doing? Because that's just me. And so he would relay back and forth. He talked to John every day from starting around July after the grandmother passed away. He would talk to John every morning. We both would be getting ready for work and he would be on the phone with John. They would be talking for 30, 40 minutes, talking about football, talking about other siblings. They would be talking about cars. It was really like not a big deal. They would talk about the brother in Baltimore. They would talk about the brother in Augusta. And then they would reminisce. This is the conversations I could hear. Let me explain. When I say I can hear a conversation, what that means is I am physically standing near him or next to him where I could hear him with the phone up to his ear talking to someone because it wasn't me. Okay. I may not hear the other person because the phone call may not be on speakerphone. But what I hear is, for example, I hear, hey man, what y'all doing? Oh, for real? Y'all barbecuing this weekend? What y'all making? Oh, that's what's up. Nah, I think me and her gonna stay in this weekend because, these numbers is looking crazy with COVID. Yeah, she over here. She's sitting right here. She watching TV. Okay, hold on. John said, hey. Hey, John. You heard her? Okay. All right, bro. I just wanted to check in on you. That's the type of conversation I'm explaining. Okay, so I hope that gives a little more clarity about the type of conversations I'm hearing. So, I don't know why this light keeps coming out. Okay, so that's how he would talk to his siblings. The grandmother passed away. He called me around April or May and told me that his grandmother passed away. His grandmother, on his dad's side, had died suddenly from COVID. She had symptoms. She went to bed and did not wake up. He was distraught. He was crying. He wasn't eating. He was just sitting there, listening to music, not watching TV, just sad, because he was like, my grandmother was always my support system. So from what I saw, it really bothered him. I did not think anything of it. I'm one of those people. If you tell me somebody in your family passed away, I'm gonna believe you, because I don't play about death. And I guess I expect other people don't either. However, that is not the same for everyone else, but we'll get there. So family, he had his sister, Shantae, who lived in Douglasville. Like I said, she was married with 2 kids. Apparently she was a nurse. So when I had my miscarriage, that was a sister that he was like, my sister will take you to the hospital. Like, that's what family does. Okay. I had never met Shantae. I've been on the phone, I've been around him when he was on the phone with Shantae. Never heard her part of the conversation. But he would be talking to his sister. That's what he said. That's what it sounded like too. Now, what is interesting is that we lived maybe 35, 40 minutes away from Douglasville. So there were plenty of times that he had invited me to go with him to his sister's house. Okay, let me tell you how this would always work out. Total times he invited me was probably 3 times for different barbecues or whatnot. The first time he invited me, I was like, nah, I ain't going, because again, COVID. And she's a nurse. Hell no. The second time he was like, yeah, she invited us, but I don't think we should go because COVID. No. The third time I agreed to go. I was like, absolutely, I'll go meet your sister. Like, that'd be great. On our way to her house, to Douglasville, to go see the sister. Apparently he got a phone call. The phone was always like on vibrate, but he got a phone call and he told me that something came up. And so she had to cancel the barbecue to get together, whatever. And so I was just like, oh man, okay, well, hopefully we can go another time. It didn't happen close enough for me to have red flags, if that makes sense. But at this point, as y'all probably like, girl, you so blind. But again, I didn't think anything of it, because it's like, okay, it fell through. We'll see. We'll reschedule. And so we just went out to eat, and then he talked to another brother, the brother from Augusta that he would have on speakerphone. So it was like, I didn't think anything of it. I really didn't. Man, and the more I talk about it, the more I realize, like, I'm not a dumb person, but it just never dawned on me the things that you have to now investigate. It didn't dawn on me. But nevertheless, that is the backstory for his family, right? Grandmother passed away. 3 weeks later, he called me and told me his uncle had passed away from COVID. The uncle had tested positive, had to go into the hospital, and he died. It was a bit of a red flag. But like I said, I don't play about death. So I was just like, wow. Because of these 2 deaths, he became a stickler.
And
when I mean
my toxic
mask,
trait,
wear gloves, hand sanitize, wash your hands. Like, he was annoying about making sure neither one of us caught COVID. So now I'm gonna give you the backstory in regards to what I was told with the ex-wife. Okay, I know.
It's to think that it would be a language barrier. I would blame it on language barrier.
You would blame it on language barrier? Okay.
But I must have misunderstood language barrier.
Oh, yeah.
So it would have flew 6 foot over my head.
Yeah. I may have to skip ahead, because this is just like, this is
I mean, if you want to stop watching it, you can just stop. Like, it's fine.
I mean, where does this go? Is he like lying about the whole thing? He works as a...
Oh, he's like con man, like evil.
Like evil con man? Okay.
Like,
okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what it sounds like is that he actually does work for the company, but he works as like a guy on a material handler or something. He wears, because he wears the standard uniform every day, and he has enough money to pay for everything. And he just keeps promising to do all of these things for her, and just hides everything else. And there's really nothing real behind anything he says. And it's starting to sound like, what she's alluding to. And I don't know if this is the case, but if this ends up being the case, but maybe I'll just skip ahead. Let me just see how far. Do you know when it starts getting into like the good part, the juicy part? Let's see.
I don't know, because I've
Have you watched the whole thing?
Yeah, I was watching it with somebody else, and we were like, oh, maybe we should skip it. And like somebody was like, oh no, don't skip it.
Not perfect at all. None of us are, but
and like we decided to not skip it. I was just like doing stuff at the same time.
The events that happened, I truly cannot.
And we're like, oh shit, kind of glad I didn't skip it,
because all I wanted was to meet a guy, for him to be my best friend, for us to get married, have a family. I wanted someone I could make fun of his big old forehead, and he make fun of my nappy head and all my wigs, and yet he was my ride or die. I wanted someone that I could be like, man, help me with these kids, and he helped me with it. So when he told me that he got a
It
BMW
has
5
100 million
Keep in
views
mind, this is
for
after
a reason.
I had been promised a dark blue X5. So I was a bit salty. I don't care if it is a company car. I was a bit salty. I will admit that. Because I felt like you get to drive the car that I really want, which is a BMW. And so he would call me from the car. He would tell me, yeah, I may just drive home in this car and not switch back to his personal car. He was like, I don't know. He did that a lot. And I realize now in 2024, he did that because he knew how excited I was to actually see the car. But shit, I wanted to test drive it myself, to be honest with you. And he knew that. So reactions. So he would say stuff like that, like, man, I'm so tired. I might just drive the company car, go ahead and go home. And then, just let me park it in the garage type thing. So eventually he stopped doing that because I didn't want to hear nothing about that car. I'm driving a Nissan, you driving a BMW. After you promised me a BMW. So I don't really want to hear nothing about it. So in terms of the company car, I did see that it was according to the pictures, a charcoal gray BMW 5 Series. If you're asking me the exact model, I don't know. But I know it's a 5 Series because I know the 7 Series is slightly longer. So it's a 5 Series sedan. So after the whole situation with the cemetery to see his grandmother and grandfather's headstone, then there was the NCR. The office is open. Oh, it's not open. Justin ain't working. Willie ain't working. Willie's supposed to be head of security, but he ain't working. Okay. So at this point, I'm already numb. It is important for me to point out how numb I became dealing with him. Mind numbing, because I just got to a point where it was like, there's always something. There's always something. So of course we're not going to go to the office because there's going to be something. So this is the end of February. My birthday had already passed. There clearly
Okay, I think it goes downhill from
tension
there.
on my end, not so much
It goes
tension on
downhill
his
from
end.
here.
So I get
Yeah.
I mean,
think so.
it really sounds, pretty, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not the worst I've heard, right? Like,
But remember, because he's 6'4".
yeah, right.
6'4" should have been the red flag.
Right. I mean, honestly, it's not the worst video I've ever heard. I mean, I've heard, where I mean, I don't personally know anybody that I can think of offhand, but I'll tell you something that I know about, and I kind of know the people involved, but I was removed a little bit. There was a couple in Denver when I was there, and they got in with a crowd of fairly rich people. They had a super nice house. They had they had really nice cars, and they had parties like they went to the Porsche Club meetings, and they invited everybody over their house for pool parties, and they'd have all of these events at their house, and go to event. I mean, and they just lived the life, right? And he was supposed to be some kind of stock guy or something.
An
And
accountant.
one of my customers actually knew him, and that's how I knew of it. I mean, I kind of met the guy a couple of times. I didn't really know him, and so they had cool cars, man. They had really cool cars. So they get in with these like super super wealthy people, and and somehow they talk this one guy who's like, I mean, apparently he's like the nicest human on the planet, right? But he gives these guys like a, a black or a I think they gave him a black American Express.
Or the platinum.
And well, I think
No, the black card, yeah.
Yeah, the black card. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to search my memory. It's been almost 15 years since this happened, but so somehow they give this guy this credit card, and for some reason, right? Like I don't know what the reason was, but it when I heard it or the first time it was sounded plausible. So, but they ended up like this dude and his wife ended up they went to Vegas. She got a boob job on the credit card. They ran up all kinds of bills.
Maximizing those fucking points.
Yeah. So and so they ran up a huge bill on this credit card. I think it was like $80,000. The cars were rented, the house was rented, and they basically just kind of disappeared, right? Like they just faded off into the sunset. They did, they like basically put down deposits on everything, and they lived a life for like a month or 2 months or whatever it was, and then just scamped out. And I
Well,
remember when I
scamped
heard that,
out?
I was like, that is like really crazy. Like that's
Scamped out?
nuts.
Like, what do you mean scamped out?
Like they left town. They just left. Like they moved out of the house. So what it looks like, my memory here is that these people had come in, they paid the deposits on this like super nice house. It was probably like a $10,000 a month house. They had a GT3 RS Porsche. Now at that time, that was like 180 grand, 200 grand, and they had I think they had a BMW, and they had like a Land Rover, like thing that you go pal around in, and I think they had some other stuff too. I don't remember, but I only ever saw them the one time, and the minute I met them, I thought these are the fakest people I've ever met. Like I've never and I'm around Porsche people quite a bit, and at that time I really was around them a lot, and so there's a bunch of different types of people, but you can tell the like genuine guys and the guys that are like really fake. I'm like, these are the fakest people I've ever met.
So I hang out around like people that are
You're in
like
LA, so
very very wealthy, but let's say like they grew up on EBT and they're just like they earned it. I mean, there's
yeah,
a difference. Like you can smell it from a mile away when
yeah,
it's
yeah.
somebody that's like not legit.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting deal because you can tell. You actually can tell. And but the bigger thing is that um the the legit guy, I mean, and the fellow that was telling me this was one of my customers. His name was Troy. He was a stockbroker, and I did a supercharger on his 911. He was a super nice guy, just a great guy. And he he was a day trader, so he made money, and then he didn't make money. He made money, he didn't make money. But yeah, I mean, these guys like really scammed this couple out for I mean, a couple of people actually. Like um, one of the people in their clique owned a car dealership, and I think that's where they got the Land Rover from, and on like a loan or something. Like, yeah, just go down and tell Bob to give you the keys to whatever, and because people like that exist. That
There's a
do that.
name. There's a they have a
That's a
legal term
grifter,
for that shit. I know what you're talking
grifting.
about.
Yeah, it's grifter. They're grifters.
No,
That's
no,
what.
but there's like a legal term for that.
Yeah, it's con artist, really. But yeah,
It's the one that Anna Delvey chick, like from that documentary. I think she got charged with that. I don't remember like that. How's it called again?
yeah. I don't know. All I know is that and that's that like the one really big like. And now obviously there were a lot of con artists out there. I think I was talking about Farnbacher Lowell's before, but there was also Rook Racing. Rook the Crooks. They were kind of the same thing. And I actually knew people that worked there, and they were like, yeah, we knew the whole time that this was a house of cards going to tumble down around our ears. But nothing that this girl is talking about was like, it was just like she should have seen the warning signs and walked away like a long time before, right? Like um, there was nothing that made me think, well, um, there's something there, like big, right? Like I was expecting that he like emptied her bank account of every dime and disappeared into the sunset, because I know that that's happened. A matter of fact, I had that happen. When my wife and I met, I had a female roommate at the time, and we had some disagreement over the bills, and I'd actually moved out into an apartment that I was setting up for my wife and I, which we weren't husband and wife yet. We were still dating, but we'd gotten this apartment, and had moved us into it and gotten some furniture and stuff, and the I had left a check at the room I was at the house I was renting this room in, and the girl cashed it, and like, and the thing was is that I'd already paid my rent, and so when she cashed that check, that basically like ate into all the money I had spare, right? Like I could basically just cover my basic bills, and I was super pissed about that. Like that was like such a horrible thing to do, right? Like I couldn't even believe that somebody would do that. And I called the bank and I tried to get the money back, and they wouldn't. They said, well, it's a check, that had a signature on it, kind of looks like yours. Best we can do is like, reverse. I mean, we can't reverse the check, but we can change your account over. And I said, well, let's go ahead and do that, because I don't know how many. I don't know. She may have more checks. For all I know, she took a whole book of them.
But how much was the check?
It's like $750, right? But I didn't have a lot of money then. I really didn't.
Yeah, but it's like there's certain amounts that like they'll go after, and it's
Yeah,
if it's under like 1,200 or.
I think she was pretty smart. I think that she knew what she was doing, and and I never really, I never really thought of it, because I guess maybe I'm more of a trusting human. I never really thought anything that it was very malicious. I thought, well, and to be honest with you, initially I thought, well, maybe she hadn't meant to cash it, that she, but my wife was like, no, she's like, it's all bad. Like, this was totally, it was totally wrong. And it was a lesson for me, for sure. But, my wife thinks I'm way too trusting. Like
I mean, it's kind of like like you're like guaranteed to get caught. Like,
you think that, but I think that a lot of people get away with a lot of stuff. And and my wife tells me this all the time. My wife tells me that I am way too trusting, that I believe people, I take them at face value a lot, which I don't. I don't actually take people at face value. I just think that I read people pretty well, and for the most part, I've been right. But I have been wrong, and I had this guy that I never would have thought. Like, this guy was a good customer. He was a really decent guy, and I'll never forget it. So I had this car that we'd done a lot of work on, and the guy wrote me a check for $1,800 for the labor. It's the last bit of the bill, and he stopped payment on that check, and I couldn't believe it. And my wife was just like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." She knew he was going to do it. I mean, and we went down and we filed the paperwork and all of that. Nothing ever came of it, but we went through the motions. We did our part, but and up until that point, we hadn't really had anybody in the shop like do chargebacks. But it was just like all of a sudden, it was like we had chargebacks, we had bad checks, and things like that. It's like just like that when the economy changed, 2008 and 9. So yeah, it was interesting. But my wife would tell you that I'm just super trusting of people, and I shouldn't be. And I don't really actually think I am that trusting of people, but I feel like I can read people pretty well. My wife would argue that point a lot. she would tell you that I'm just too trusting. But
or maybe that's because you have the confidence that you can handle it. Perhaps.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. There's probably a little bit of pride there too. But yeah, it's my wife. My wife is absolutely convinced that everybody is out to get us. Like, literally, like, she's absolutely convinced, and she tells me all the time. And you know what? Sometimes she's really right. Like, a lot of and I can't remember what it was, but last year I was looking.
But
at
like, in what way?
I'm sorry.
Like, in what way?
Oh, just financially, usually. So last year I think we were
financially.
looking at a contract. Yeah, we were looking at a contract for something.
She doesn't think I'm out to get you guys, right?
No, I don't think so. But usually it's something financial where she thinks I'm just too trusting, or I don't put enough contracts in. But understand, she works with contracts and people.
Oh yeah, she's out. So, yeah, she's with the big boys.
For her, it's like normal. For me, it's like and I still believe in a handshake deal. um, which I've gotten away from. I really can't do business that way anymore. I really need something structured. And actually, I'm struggling with that on a deal right now,
Hey,
where
you were about to have a 17-year-old on your stream without backing up your own ass,
yeah,
sir.
that was really it was interesting because I really don't know what YouTube. I don't know how YouTube handles that because I know that I see people all the time that are
13.
yeah. Yeah, it's 13.
13, but depending on the state that you're hosting, it's usually like the state of the main account. You need to have an account in good standing because within the account, when you sign up with YouTube, within the terms of service, you need to say like how old you are, and technically because like somehow they assume that you read the terms of service with your parents, I
Right.
guess, because it's the parents' job to monitor the online activities and
Sure.
everything.
Yeah.
So because of that, it gives you like a layer of protection legally. But if the stream, like if you say on stream like your age, or like even if you just joke about like being a minor or start talking about stuff like being a minor, it's like you're almost better off like turning the stream off.
Right.
Just
Yeah,
because.
and that's kind of where I was at with it. I'm like, I don't know that we would go there, but I didn't want to. I wanted to make sure I was clear. Um,
Well, no, you're clear. You're clear. You're fine.
so what did we get anywhere with that? I mean, this is weird to talk about in the stream, but you know, I actually do kind of want to talk about it. It's weird to talk about it in a stream where we're talking about a reaction video, but it seems like it's really difficult to nail people down to they'll say, oh yeah, I want to be part of this, or I want to do that, and then
Tell me about it.
it's really difficult to nail them down, and it doesn't seem like it's that big, and like it takes a lot of effort.
It really
So
doesn't. It's just people that say, "Oh yeah, yeah, do it." And like I used to do like YouTube channels and like stuff for kids, and they're like, "Oh my god, we need this merch. I fucking need this merch," or like make hoodies of this and this and that, and I would make them. Maybe like 5 of them would sell. I would barely make my money back. Like it's always like that. And same for
who do
podcasts.
we have?
And chicks are the worst usually.
Who do we have for tomorrow night locked in?
Um, Spectre said, he asked me, is my opponent going to be there? I wasn't
Right.
sure which opponent he was talking about, so I needed to ask you
So
about that.
basically, he's supposed to be the ultra conservative guy.
But which
Opposite
opponent was he talking about?
Allie. Allie was supposed to be the progressive female.
Okay, but Ali, I sent her like 5 invites to
Yeah.
each server. I DM'd her. I sent her like I sent her a friend request. Cancel my friend request to resend one. And she
Yeah.
has been ghosting me, so I don't know what's up with her. But you
She was
can't have her on there
earlier,
until
and
she
she was like,
signs that
it was
shit.
weird
So
because she was on Discord earlier, and I said something about it, and she's like, nobody's talked to me about it, and I'm like,
no, we did.
well, I didn't say it in the stream, but I talked to you about it just like a couple of days ago, and
I
everything
did.
seemed okay. So,
And I mean, my message was pretty freaking clear.
and Annie, I can't tell if she's in or out. She's like said 3 different things, so I would really like to clear that up.
It's
I'm
flaky.
sure that they may have actually started listening to the stream. I should probably look at it, see how many. We have one person.
But yeah,
lost.
y'all, if you're listening, you can't say L flakers anymore on the pod if you're going to be a flaker yourself. And honestly, every time you flake or ghost, you're going down a few bars in like the esteem that I have for you. Like your integrity, to my perspective, starts to tank every time you do that.
Tomorrow night, anyway, because it's been an exciting week in a lot of aspects, and so I have actually even if nobody comes on, I will monologue the whole thing because I've got. I mean,
I mean, fuck, if you can't make it, I can monologue the whole thing. Like,
it's gonna be super interesting because at the end of the day, um, so much has kind of happened this week. There's been so much drama between Discord and the video stuff and other things that I
and
can.
Israel Palestine too, sir.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get into too much of that stuff. I don't.
Oh, we can. We're fine. Actually, we're
Yeah,
fine.
I know we can. I just don't know that. I really kind of. I mean, it's. The thing is, everybody's talking about this stuff. And now, I mean, just to get a little bit political for a moment. Back 6 months ago, I
Y'all
said,
call me a
"Why are
terrorist
we?"
sympathizer.
I'm sorry.
Y'all call me a terrorist sympathizer.
I don't. I just think that you're wrong. It's not a question of being a sympathizer. I just think you're wrong about it. But
You
going
need to
back about
check what
six
happened
months,
yesterday.
go back about 6 months, 8 months. We were in the Ukraine deal. Um, Actually, let's go back a year. And I said, why are we supporting Ukraine? Those guys came to power in a coup. Um,
It's one of the most corrupted countries in the world, and it's
it,
always
it is
been like there
super
was always
corrupt.
kind of a running gag against
Why are we
Ukraine that
giving
like
this?
they
Yeah,
were
why are we?
the fake Russian green card seekers. Like they come to the U.S., like they get married for the green card, and they
Yeah, but
pretend to be Russian when they come here.
even beyond that, why are we and I've got a friend of mine who's Ukraine, and I told him the same thing. I'm like, look, I don't know how we're backing Zelensky. Zelensky seems like a criminal. He was a comedian. He was an actor, and so he's a puppet for somebody else.
He went on Vogue.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
And
what the fuck is
and,
that?
and Zelensky caused the whole war, right? Like Putin,
Oh, you almost started World War III.
Trump told Putin, stop doing what you're doing in Crimea. Putin said, okay, I will.
So you see those beautiful little golden turrets over there? I will blow the shit out of them.
Yeah. So Ukraine said or Russia said, look, all Ukraine has to do is just leave our one all season port alone. The only deep water port that they can use all year, right? That's all they ask is to just leave it alone. We just want access to our port so that we can, I mean, they're a country. They've got to ship stuff out, get stuff in. They're a country, do trade. Zelensky said, okay. The minute Trump was out of office, Biden comes in, undoes all of the stuff that Trump put in place. Zelensky is like super emboldened, and he starts antagonizing Russia. And you can't do that with someone like Putin. Putin is literally the guy who will like the line in the sand. If he says don't cross it and you cross it, whatever he said he's going to do, that's exactly what he's going to do, and that's what he did. And is he winning? Not really. I mean, they're throwing a lot of material and they're throwing a lot of material and they're losing. They lost a bunch of dudes. I mean, that it's terrible what's happening in that region with the men that are losing their lives. But what's happening in the Ukraine right now is terrible. These reports that we're seeing of literal like grown men being like shanghaied into vans and pressed into military service against their will. They're not volunteering. They're not being drafted legally, which, again, it's a foreign country. So our laws don't apply there. So you got to give me a little latitude here. I'm looking at it through an American lens.
Yeah.
And you Russia, Ukraine, it may be fine, right? Like it may be perfectly legal, but looking at the optics of it, why would you do that? That's dumb. And worse is everybody has a camera now. So why would you do it when people can just upload video to YouTube and everybody sees it? So we can talk. I mean, I would rather talk about Russia, Ukraine than Israel, Palestine. The Palestinians, I don't know how to fix their problem, right? Like I don't. They can't fix their problem because they got too much stuff going on, right? Like they back Hamas. They don't back Hamas. Hamas will kill them if they don't. I mean,
nobody's backing Hamas. That's the thing. Like, everybody hates them. Like, Palestinians are like, fuck these people. Everybody
sure.
hates these people.
Yeah, no, I agree with
But, like, Israel is committing a freaking, like, ethnic cleansing right now. Like, it's a freaking genocide.
I don't know. I don't
They
know.
attack civilians. They attack civilians. It's on freaking camera.
I don't know.
Like yesterday, they were like they were giving aid and like food, and there was like a bunch of civilians, and they started shooting at them. They're fucking crazy.
I mean, I'll look at it, but I'm going to tell you that this right now, I honestly don't care what the Israelis do to get rid of Hamas. Like first of all of the Palestinians have plenty of time to get the hell out. The only reason,
now they're stuck in Gaza. Right now, they're stuck in Gaza, and they can't go back.
The only reason they didn't get out is Hamas was going to shoot them if they left. Right? That's
some of them left. Some of them left, and they went south.
The only reason that any of them got out is because Israel put tanks to block Hamas from shooting them in the back as they were leaving. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go too far down that well. Look, it's a war. I don't blame Israel for anything they're doing right now. Honestly, I wouldn't blame the Palestinians if they took up arms against Hamas. I think that'd be a great plan. I don't know why they don't. I don't know why the Palestinians are in the position they're in. Pick a side. You're in a war zone. You can't be neutral in a war zone. You either you pick a side or you get the fuck out, because everybody in that zone is gonna die. It happened in World War II. It happened in World War I. It happened in Vietnam, and it's going to happen anytime you're in a war zone. It happened in Ukraine. Anytime you're in a war zone, non-combatant or not, when bullets start flying, they don't care who they hit. Okay, that's just the way it is. And you can't. You need to get out. You've got. If you can't get out, then hide, because that's your only choice. Because the people are not going to take, people that know they're going into harm's way are not going to stop and identify you. Although, honestly, to be honest, the Israelis have been far better about it than most people are. You could say that the U.S. troops in Afghanistan mastered that technique of identifying who and who not, and it cost us a lot of lives to do that. But I don't blame them. Honestly, I don't blame them at all. I would really, really like. I really don't know how to solve the Hamas problem.
I'm just asking. You would really put a semi-auto in the hands of your 3-year-old?
No, I wouldn't. But
yeah, that's
here's the thing: if I was in a war zone, I would get out. I would get out. I would not stay. And if I couldn't leave, I would hide in the deepest hole I could get in, because I know what's coming. I know what's coming. I know what's going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to be rolling and they're going to be hot, and these guys are going to be pumped up. They're going to be their lives are in danger, and if you move, you're likely to something's going to happen, and that's why it's called warfare. I mean, it just is. I mean, you can't. Although, again, the Israelis and the U.S. and some others, especially the U.S., has really mastered the art of saving non-combatants to a degree, and it's cost us. It's cost us a lot of people that probably would be alive. But no, you're not gonna get that from me. I mean, I don't buy it, and I'm not gonna buy it. And I mean, I'll look at video and see if I would have done it differently. But to be honest with you, I'm not going to armchair quarterback anybody in a war zone. I'm just not. And I think it's pretty sad, the whole deal. I think the whole deal is sad. I don't know what the answer is. Unfortunately, Hamas has had 2 decades to bury themselves under hospitals and churches and schools and everywhere else. So
they committed their war crimes for sure, but don't tell them to go hide in a corner over there because it's safe over there, then shoot that place. Like, it's ridiculous. And it's like they have live footages of that shit. And still, has anybody answered the question of how the fuck is one of the safest and most monitored border in the world? hasn't seen a group of terrorists coming who have like technologies from like maybe the 80s?
Well,
How they didn't,
are you
apparently
talking
that
about the
they knew a
October
year
7th?
ahead.
Are
They
you
knew
talking
a
about the
year ahead.
October 7th? Are you talking about the October 7th attack?
Yeah, apparently that like they just ignored it because then whatever. Yeah, no, I sorry, I don't believe in coinkydinks
No, no,
anymore.
no, no. So the October 7th attack, the initial attack, which is how they got everything else in, was they like literally flew ultralights in there and started shooting up a bunch of people. And when that attracted all the attention, that's when the people came through the border. It wasn't that they came through the border in a dark of night and nobody saw them. That I don't believe that's what happened. I would not believe any spin that tried to throw that out there. That would seem like spin doctoring to me. Because what actually happened was they literally like came in from the air and started shooting people at a music festival. You
And they
know,
didn't see them coming?
well, I mean, it's literally like 5 miles. It's not even. It may not even be that. Maybe a mile. You don't have time to respond to that, which is a brilliant thing, by the way. I mean,
Really?
I hate to give credit to Hamas for this, but it's actually pretty brilliant because Israel's set up to defend against missiles. They're set up to defend against tanks. They're set up to defend against all of these heavy military threats that you can see coming from 30 miles away. But little, powered parachutes and or what, the hang glider, whatever the hell they were.
Paragliding.
Paraglide. Thank you, paragliders. Yeah, they didn't see that coming. And honestly, I wouldn't either. I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't see that coming either. It's and it's literally like a mile. Like it's not even. It literally from takeoff to landing is probably like 7 minutes. Like 7 minutes is all the time you have to respond, and you're just not going to do it. You're just not. It's brilliant. I mean, honestly, it's a brilliant technique. I can't. It's very difficult to defend against. Um,
I don't buy that, sorry.
what don't you buy about it? What do you think could have happened? They
One
didn't
of
have
the most, one of that border has more intelligence, more
when you
surveillance.
go over the
It's more
border.
secured. It's more secured than the US Mexico border. Do you know how quickly the US Mexico border response is when there's like a little bit of
Slow,
heat detected?
slow.
Yeah, because they're like humans running.
Hours,
But if they were to
hours.
intercept anything, what's the Iron Dome for?
So the Iron Dome is for missiles, which come from miles away,
Yeah.
and they go up. They go up really high, and they come down. They have a lot of time.
They were missiles before they attacked.
Well, there's always missiles before the attack. Literally, there's always missiles there. That's a bullshit excuse, Josie. Come on. There's always.
Okay, but they saw they no, don't get
literally
emotional. Don't get emotional.
every day.
They get missiles and they don't think, oh, maybe we should watch because they seem to be agitated.
Literally happens every day. Literally, you don't mean again. This is what happens when we in the West try and look at something without full information. The reason that they have that missile defense system is every single day their missiles, well, not every single day, most days there are missiles coming into Israel from Gaza somewhere, and and that's why that
Says who?
It's like the best missile defense system ever. Like it happens so much that they've perfected it to such an art in that little area.
Oh, you said it yourself.
Almost none of them get through. Almost none. I mean, but now some do, but almost none get through. But if you've got missiles coming in and you got paragliders coming in, the paraglider again, it's less than depending on what the distance is, because the thing about Gaza is I mean, this whole area is like really small, like really small. Like you're talking about something that can't be seen 2 miles away. literally like fence jumping in. I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, honestly, it's actually really brilliant. Like I wouldn't have seen it coming. They didn't see it coming. I think it's brilliant.
Besides that, they have the evidence that shows that they were warned almost like a year ahead, and they just decided to ignore it. Even Netanyahu admitted
They're
that.
warned every day. Again, you keep saying this, but literally it happens every day there. There's no heightening of security.
There's no October 7th every day.
Huh?
They were warned about Israel was warned about the October 7 attacks way in advance. They knew they were coming. They decided to ignore it, and
that because I don't know that.
Look it up. It's been debunked quite a few times.
It may be.
Look, they messed up, and honestly, I just think they're seizing the opportunity they've been looking for.
Well, they could have. No, that's bullshit because they could have done that. I mean, honestly, if they wanted to, if they wanted to, Israel has enough trained fighters. I mean, literally everybody there is a trained fighter. Israel has done nothing but retreat for the last 70 years. They've done nothing but give. Honestly, I believe that they should just take the whole thing back and literally push the Palestinians out into Jordan and Egypt. I wouldn't have a single Arab in that region, period. If it were me. They're not going to do that. They're peaceful people. They keep coming back to that peace table over and over and over again. And they're
really peaceful people because they don't control like 99% of the media anymore.
They are peaceful people. They always have been a peaceful. Literally, go back as far as you want to go back. They keep coming back to the peace table every single time. They don't attack people. They get attacked and they respond. The problem is that when they respond, they're pretty good. They're pretty good fighters. They're not, they're not ineffective for such a small country. Now I tell you what, really the problem is with Israel is back when they had and this is, it's been a decades long deal, but like there used to be something like 10 million Jewish people in Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and other areas. They're all gone. They've all been killed. They've all been forced out. They're all gone. Like there's zero Jewish people in those countries. And if they go there, they die. Like they're killed.
Mm-hmm.
And so the numbers, it's for the Israelis, there's no numbers game. Like they do not have the numbers. They've either they literally have to win or they're all going to die because they just don't have enough people. Because it over the years, they've been destroyed over and over and over again by these Arabs. I can't believe that you even side with any of that. I just can't. I just can't even, because these are literally terrorists. These are people that took food out of their people's mouths.
See, that's what I mean when I said you called me a terrorist sympathizer. That's literally what you're saying right now.
I can't believe that you take their side. I don't know.
I never did. I say that I was taking Hamas's side. Never. Fuck these guys. Okay, there's a difference between Palestinians and Hamas. They didn't choose to be born there. Some of them are like children and women. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to get out of there? Like, you were just born in the wrong freaking part of the world, and like your death is coming. It's like fucking 6 years old children getting killed at like a humanitarian aid.
Ignoring, Josie, you're ignoring the fact that Israel has done more to help the Palestinians get out of danger, and Hamas is shooting their own people.
I know Hamas is shooting their own people.
Okay, then
I don't support Hamas. Hello.
Israel is right then. Israel is right. There's no arguing that. There's no arguing that. Israel is right, and they're in a war
Shooting
zone.
at a humanitarian truck with women and children. I
don't
can't.
know.
I can't.
I've not seen any footage of that.
I
So
can't.
don't know.
Like I'm like no, like that. Sorry, I can't defend that. Like no.
Yeah, I will. I don't have any. I don't have a dog in that fight. So, but I believe the Israelis are. Honestly, I believe that the Israelis either have to completely dominate and push all of the Palestinians out of the region and reestablish Israel as a nation and grow their numbers, or they're going to get wiped off the planet. They don't have the numbers. There's just not enough of them in the region to control it. It's a sad fact, but they just literally don't have enough bodies to throw at it. And it doesn't matter how much technology they have. It's just not going to work. So, yeah. All right, I'm gonna actually call it a night early. It's only 8 o'clock. My wife will be super thrilled because I don't want to get into anything that I wanted to talk. I don't want to get into much of anything I wanted to talk about tomorrow night when I actually stream, and there might be more than one person watching, which is probably my wife, and and I just feel like
it a little bit.
it would be great to have a it would be great to have a panel of 2 or 3 people tomorrow night, but I'm not really seeing it. I mean, I think so. Serena said that she would do voice only, which is fine. And Serena will do voice only. That's cool. Spectre only wants to be on if there's someone to argue with him, or have a discussion with him. That's fine. I get that. It's a waste of his time to be on the stream if all he's going to do is chat.
Who?
Spectre. He said that he's down as long as he has an opponent, I guess.
I can't find him an opponent. That's not a problem.
Yeah. And actually that may be fun.
I can get the guy that was on the.
What happened to the? Well, I don't want that guy. That guy wants that debate, and
Well, have Spectre at it. That could be fun.
Yeah, it might be. How about
can just eat popcorn in the back?
Fan. AC always acts like he loves to debate. Maybe we need to put
deaf.
AC. Just get him.
He's deaf.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's deaf. Text to speech. Let's see who else.
He's a keyboard warrior, though.
Yeah. What happened to the Barbie or Barball or whatever her name was?
I can DM her, but I mean, like, most progressive kind of sound the same.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's not the vibe you're going for, I mean.
Yeah. I don't really want to necessarily get into a rolling debate. I really didn't like
if it's not parliamentary debate or mock tournament, I mean.
He also kind of rubbed me the wrong way because he was like, "Well, you're lying," and then I proved that I wasn't lying, and he didn't walk it back and say, "Okay, you weren't lying," and he just just wasn't that great. Just wasn't a good time. I mean, it was good. I mean, I like him. I think I just don't know that I want to deal with.
I mean, I could have ended that pretty quickly, but you didn't let me. So
I know. Well, the other thing is, he sounded like he was getting ready to just punch out, and I kind of wanted to keep him on until the end, or until he had to go. So he was ready to go.
They usually just run in circles, and you just keep circling them back.
Yeah, well, that's what he was trying to do that too. But what he kept trying to surmise, like, that's the end of it. Like, this is the end of the discussion. I'm like, no, it's not really the end. I mean, you can summarize there, but that doesn't mean that you're accurate or correct. All right, well, I'm gonna call it good talk. The video, it was. I'm sure that if you watched the whole thing through and sat and thought about it, it'd probably be fun, but I've seen way worse. Like
finish it. Maybe like go do it while you're doing something else. Have it play in the back.
I got stuff to do tomorrow, so maybe I'll just
do that
on the background.
What are you gonna talk about tomorrow?
Well, so assuming that we have the people on, I really do want to get into this talk about how, um, you know, uh,
Who was supposed to be there?
huh?
Who was supposed to be there? Give me a list.
Allie, Annie, Spectre, me, you, and
Hold
I
on,
think
hold on. I'm writing it
Serena.
down.
And
Okay,
Serena,
so we had Ali,
Annie,
Annie.
Serena,
Okay.
Spectre, you, and I. And the main subject matter was Allie made a statement about how she didn't feel safe traveling alone as a young woman. Um, and the reason she gave for that is because men can't control their sexual urges or desires. I think this is cap, and I think that it's flawed, and I have a lot of good reasons for it, but I'm not going to get into them until a show because it's waste of good material.
I guess it
Uh,
depends where you travel.
yeah, well, um, we'll get into it. If she makes this, even if she doesn't make the stream, we're going to talk about it because I mean, we can still talk about it even if she's not there. It would just be better if she was there. The other thing we're going to talk about tomorrow is some of the drama that happens in reality versus online, and some of the some of the stuff that kind of I've been watching go on in Discord and discussion groups and things like that, and how I think that especially in this red pill, blue pill, in this space where we're all talking about how to make people better and how to move forward in life and all of that. Um, I think that there's some real ground to cover there, and I'm going to cover it because I had obviously you're aware I had a little bit of a tiff this week, and well, not really a tiff. I just got tired and I just shut it off. So I'm gonna talk about that, and then
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. You have to be more precise.
I'm not going to because that's what tomorrow night's for.
Well, if I don't know
We're
what
gonna
you're
talk about
talking
that.
about, how am I
We'll
supposed
talk
to?
about
We're not gonna
um,
have like a smooth discussion if I don't know what we're talking about.
well, we're streaming right now, so I don't want people to watch it and preview tomorrow night and pregame. So we can
Like,
have a discussion, but we can't have it here. um, and because I don't want anybody pre-gaming. I like people's raw, which is I doubt Annie's watching or Allie or Spectre or anybody. Honestly, I don't think anybody's watching right now. But still, I don't want anybody pre-gaming.
you can
Um,
tell me after.
yeah, I'll tell you after. But I've got probably like 3 or 4 things I want to talk about, and it's I made a mistake this week, which I do all the time, but I made one that was pretty interesting, and I'm going to share that a little bit, and how it affects how it affects things, and how I think most people make similar mistakes, and how we move on and deal with things that when we make mistakes. So uh, should be a good show. Should be a really good show. Should be. I'm hoping we're in it. If we have all the guests, I think it's probably going to be 3-4 hours. That we'll be going. Um, if we don't have the guests, it'll probably be like a 2 hour, 3 hour show tops.
I just all I want from them is a yay or nay.
Yeah.
If
Well,
at least
I've
I
been
get a
trying.
nay, if I get a nay early enough, I can find somebody else early
Yeah.
enough.
I mean, I would even like some red pill chicks. I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
What pisses me off is people who just ghost. I can't stand that shit.
Yeah, I don't care if they're red pill, blue pill, green pill, whatever pill you want. I just would like to have a kind of a panel, not like Brian does. I don't need like 10 people. Like 2 or 3 people just to have a good discussion back and forth, because even people that see things in the same light can have disagreements, right? Like you and I disagree, My wife and I disagree. People disagree, but it's the conversations that we have about those disagreements that make life interesting, and people need to talk about that stuff. So, all right, well, all right, Josie, I'm going to sign off. You have a great night. Go back
All
and
right.
enjoy your evening, whatever you're going to do, because it's early there for you. It's what, like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, something like that.
6:30.
6:30. Yeah, you have fun. It's 8:30 for me, so I'm going to go make sure my kid gets to bed because he's got to go to school tomorrow. And other than that, I'm done. You guys have a
All
great
right.
night. If
See
there's
ya.
anybody still with us, have a great night. Website's going to be up soon, and we're going to do Streamlabs and all that kind of cool stuff. So be looking for it, and we will
Oh
see
yeah,
you
get
guys.
back to me with your podcast stuff if you want me to get your RSS feed going.
Yeah, actually, I do need it because I have a place for that on my website, and I haven't set any of that up. So I will be
Did you just set up your website?
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh, dude, like I can just do it. I could have just like done it for you from like the
I have
way
a
I do it.
personal website.
Okay.
I have a personal website that I use for myself, right? But I own a bunch of domain names because back when I had the shop, I just had a bunch of domain names.
Please
One
tell
of
me
the
you have
domain
Bluehost.
I was setting up
Bluehost.
Streamlabs today, and when I was setting up Streamlabs, they asked for a domain name for Streamlabs. I'm like, oh, I have one, and it's in the Industrial Sex and Magic Show, and
Haram?
and so I'm like,
Haram?
whoever clicks that's going to be like, well, this isn't what I was thinking it was going to be, and because it used to be that I sponsored a drift car, and
But do you have Bluehost?
huh?
Do you have
I have
Bluehost?
GoDaddy. I've had GoDaddy for years.
No, but your host.
What do you mean?
Bluehost?
Bluehost? No, I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't think so. Here, I'm going to send you I ended up putting it under I also have unreasonableman.net. So if you go to an unreasonableman.net, you will see.
Dude, I'm not gonna fuck with your website unless you're putting me in charge of it.
Oh, I just wanted you to look
100%.
at it. You can just go look at it. It's up. I mean, it's I've got some whole placeholder pictures and stuff like that. I still got to work on it, but
I'm not fucking with WordPress as like not an administrator.
WordPress,
I'm not
bro.
doing that again.
I don't have WordPress, bro. I did.
What do you use then? Freaking like Wix?
I built an entire website on WordPress that was like pretty legit, and then
well, that's what I just said. WordPress.
It crashed all the time. It was.
That's your computer. It's not WordPress. WordPress is fine as fuck.
Yeah.
I fucking love WordPress.
All right, you can go look at it. I'm gonna call it. You guys have a great night. We'll talk. I'll talk to you in Discord or something. And
all right, sounds good.
We'll sort tomorrow night's show. See everybody. If you hung around this long, good night.